Indeed. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Happy Monday. Happy Black History Month. We will acknowledge it since the federal government apparently will not. We appreciate you being here. We know you have many choices to make in the morning, and we really appreciate you choosing to spend some time with us. Welcome. A couple things to get to. Please consider contributing to the gifting goal today. I know that there's some issues with recharging coins and the like, but it is what it is, and there's other ways to support the channel. Like, for example, check out our brand spanking new FactsStillMatter site. A lot of work over the weekend. A big shout out to Erica, a big shout out to Eve for helping us get this thing really up and running. It looks great. Check it out. You can subscribe there. $3 a month, or you get a 15% discount annually. You can also use the pay apps if you want to contribute to the channel. It's a great way to do it. I would really appreciate that. We're marching towards 500 subscribers. So if you subscribed on TikTok and you don't want to renew, or you can't renew, it's a great place to do it. Head out over there. Please subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. Also, there's brand spanking new merch in the merch store. For those of you who can read Morse code, I'll let you try to figure that out, but it's two words. The first is fuck, the second is Trump. So if you'd like to participate, please grab yourself some merch, because that's in the merch store. And by the way, subscribers get a 10% discount on all merch in the merch store. So appreciate you. Okay. So Felice is feeling under the weather, so she will not be joining us today. We wish her well, and I'm sure we'll see her at some point in the very near future. Again, thanks, guys, for being here. Please don't forget about the coin. That's helps us stay on the FYP. And tapping is clapping, and sharing is caring. And thank you again. So we're going to dive into tariffs, but at the end of the day, the question on our mind today, our topic, is who's in charge, because there's a few tells. I've been watching Donald Trump. We all have for a very long time. And one of the things that I notice about him is he has some giveaways, right? Proof that he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. So if you've seen any of the signing ceremonies for these Project 2025 induced executive orders, because that's exactly what they are, you can see the look on his face when his aide or staffer is presenting him the next executive order to sign. He'll say things like, that's a good one. I didn't know about that one. That one's great, which tells you that he's the puppet, right? We know who the puppet master is. We know that the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025 authors and the oligarchs, the broligarchs, the tech bros, they're the ones that are in charge, right? You again, just watch what he does and what he says. Listen, we know, and we have to be honest with ourselves, he's really good at manipulating his base. He always has been. He is, his base is loyal to a fault. We've said this many times. Republicans fall in line while Democrats fall in love, and his base is falling in love with him while also falling in line. Members of Congress fall in line. I think this week is going to be very interesting, because we've got people who are just unqualified. And I want to talk about DEI for just a moment, right? So because the right's game is to gaslight us, that's what they do. Their entire MO is to gaslight, modus operandi. DEI is not about hiring. Okay, let's be real. So I worked in corporate America. I was a C-suiter. I was a chief marketing officer before I left to go out on my own a couple of years ago. And one of the initiatives that our company undertook, because we were headquartered in Vermont, 93% of our staff of 500 people was white presenting, right? That's just the demographics of the state. Okay. We realized that if we wanted to grow like we wanted to grow, we needed to have a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment in our company. So we did things like explore and investigate what other companies our size did in an effort to try to recruit more people. So it's not about a hiring practice. It's about creating an environment so everyone in the workplace appreciates the diversity, feels included, feels like it's equitable. So again, we're going to do a live this week on gaslighting and what it looks like, but this is just another example of what they're doing in an effort to try to, well, first of all, to show us they're racist right out front, but just everything to them, how they always criticize, why do you guys always talk about race? Well, because we are a country that was built on systemic racism and they want to bring it back. And that's part of the push. So don't let them gaslight, right? Don't let them gaslight. Don't let them tell you that, oh yeah, it's fine that prices are going to go up, because we're going to talk about tariffs in just a minute. Don't let them lie to you. You know, don't let them tell you that they're hiring the most qualified. When we got, who's the new guy in charge of the FAA or the Department of Transportation? Scott Whitaker, is that his name? I don't even fucking know. He made his claim on The Real World, MTV's The Real World. So is he qualified? I'm going to compare him to Pete Buttigieg? Okay. Kash Patel, right? An election denier, a January 6th conspiracist, a bold Duffy, thank you. A bold-faced liar, Sean Duffy. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Got my Whitakers and Duffys mixed up. Appreciate that. It is Duffy. It is Duffy. Thank you. Kash Patel, who sat in his, we went over the lies last week, right? He sat in his Senate hearing and just flat out fucking lied. I mean, just lied, right? You've got Linda McMahon, so Kash Patel, they want to put him in charge of the FBI, right? Linda McMahon, in charge of the Department of Education, who, however long that exists, comes from the World Wrestling Foundation. Where are her qualifications? Right? Robert F. Kennedy Jr., science denier, anti-vaxxer, again, told one lie after another, used inappropriate language during his confirmation hearings, identifying black people, right? Tulsi Gabbard, who was on a TSA watch list because of her travels to Syria and to Russia and to other places, going to put her in charge of intelligence services when intelligence communities around the world are like, no, thank you. We're not going to share any secrets with her. Are you kidding me? Pete Hegseth, Fox News host, just because he served makes him qualified? We know he has a history of abusing women. He has a history of alcoholism. I'm not judging, but that's just part of who he is. A history of mismanaging money. And the right wants to convince people that they're hiring the best and the brightest based on merit? Fuck that. Fuck that. Again, a reminder, they will gaslight you. And we can't let them gaslight. Okay? So as we go through the day, we're going to be kind of watching the news. So I want to report out that the stock market, the futures market, as of just a couple minutes ago, prior to trading, so in anticipation of trading, the Dow's down 676 points. That's coming from the announcement of tariffs, 25% tariffs on all goods from Canada and Mexico. TBD, I shouldn't say all. They're still negotiating. Apparently, there's a rumor that oil and gas won't be included, but how do we know? We don't. Excuse me. And then 10% on all goods from China. So the stock market has reacted as they would. Keep in mind, this goes back to the who's in charge. So there are hedge fund managers, venture capitalists, and the like that are investing and betting on the stock market crashing. And what happens when they do? They make money. Billions of dollars. So people in positions of power and wealth, right? The 5%, the 1%, corporations, the oligarch class, are in positions to benefit from American taxpayers who have investments in the stock market, 401ks, retirement funds, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They get richer while you get poorer. There's estimates from this, I forget the name of this one group. I'll find it. Estimates that the average American family will take the hit to the tune of $2,600 when these tariffs go through as expected. And the further down the income ladder you go, the more it will impact you. The further up the impact ladder it will go, the less it will impact you. In fact, there's a benefit once you get to the 5% and the 1%ers, because those people are the ones that will benefit when everybody else suffers. What you sent me, Greg? He's always surprising me. So I think we'll put this up. Yeah. How tariffs work. That's beautiful. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. All right, we'll go back to that in just a bit. But so, again, the billionaire class, those that are in charge, the richest, the wealthiest, in fact, many of those in Trump's cabinet, will benefit from the suffering of the American people. So we're going to be watching the stock market today. They're expecting between a 3 and 4% drop in the Dow. Every other market's impacted too. So the Dow fell 1.5% in before hours trading. S&P down 1.7%. NASDAQ futures down 2%. Futures on the Russell 2000 index, small cap benchmark, lost 2.5%. And the CBOE volatility index, Wall Street's fear gauge, spiked above 22. And you don't want that number to go above 18. Major European equity markets sunk. Germany's DAX benchmark off by nearly 3%. The Bitcoin tumbled. The U.S. dollar index versus several other currencies jumped, so other money is becoming more valuable than the U.S. dollar. Crude oil jumped 2% on concerns of supply disruptions in North America on the new tariffs. So where we are, and his posts on Lie Social this morning are all about tariffs. So the new argument, again, more gaslighting, the new argument from the right is that the tariffs will pay for the tax cuts. So by all estimates, the 10-year hit on the new Trump, the extension of the TCJA by dropping the corporate tax rate from down to 15%, okay, a big drop, will be about $5 trillion hit to the deficit. So what the Trump team, through gaslighting, is it attempting to try to convince you is that they can make up that money in tariffs. And they can't. It's impossible. People like to point back to a time prior to income tax when we had tariffs, and we did. But we didn't have municipal governments. We didn't have municipalities who needed federal dollars to be able to fund improvements in their society. So we can't even compare the two. And that was partly responsible to the Depression in the first place. So we're at a time when something we've never seen, and it is dangerous, and people are going to suffer. Gas prices are up a penny. Egg prices, as you know, are spiking. It is crazy depending on where you are. And it's here. It's not in other places. It's here. And now we are going to enter or in a trade war with our biggest trading partners. We get 60%, going back to 1992. 60%. Actually, what's the number? Hold on, I've got it right here. So I want to make sure I have it right. 43% of all imports into the United States come from Canada, Mexico, and China combined. Over 40%. And that includes everything. Fruits, vegetables, energy, timber, steel, all kinds of stuff. And we are in a trade war, and sure, the American government in our economy certainly has a lot of leverage, but these countries do as well. You're already hearing rumors about the global trade imbalance shifting because of the volatility of the U.S. government under the Trump administration, right? Looking for other trading partners. The shadow government that will literally only do this to enrich themselves is about to hand the keys to China when they say that China is the biggest threat. Right? So we are in this now, and this is exactly what MAGA voters say they voted for. You said you voted for your prices to go down when we know they're going to go up. I want to play this audio that I found from, you guys know who Walter Masterson is, I'm assuming. He goes out and he talks to voters. And there's this man on the street thing that he did, and it's fucking brilliant. And I just want to play it because it kind of speaks to the, it might be a little hard to hear, but there was a conversation that Walter Masters, and he goes out, he's like a Jordan Klepper, right? He goes out and he talks to people. And there was a gentleman who was convinced that the exporting country pays the tariff, and he bumps into a person, he basically bumps into Art Vandelay, a guy that's been importing and exporting, and he explains it very, very well. And you can even listen to him even being presented with a person who's an expert in the field, still trying to push back. So we can just listen to this. Hold on. Sorry. Here we go.
The Chinese government pays a tariff.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
I'm an importer and an exporter for 20 years.
Okay.
When a product comes into the U.S., there's something called a tariff sheet.
Okay.
I, as the buyer of that product, follow U.S. law and pay the tariff. I'm an American citizen, I'm an American taxpayer. I pay that.
That guy talking has been an importing and exporting. You can't hear it? I'm sorry. Hold on. What's going on? Stand by. I'll fix it. If this fails me today, I'm going to be bummed because... All right, hang on a second. Stand by. Behind the scenes. Yep, that's right. Okay. That should be working. I don't know. Let me try this again.
Tariff to the U.S. government, and that increase in the cost
Any better?
I then sell to you for a higher price because I've got to cover that tariff.
Then what about?
There is
then
no.
what do you say our tariffs are higher when they go overseas as opposed to theirs coming here?
Tariffs are never a zero-sum game. Tariffs are a tool. For example, you might say.
Sorry about that, guys. I'll figure it out. I can manage through today. No big deal. Anyway, the point is that there's literally an expert. Okay, this guy is the expert. He's been in this. He is the Art Vandelay in this conversation, right? He is explaining to this MAGA that no, you're wrong. And even this guy, even the MAGA is just like, well, no, that's not true. And the guy's like, listen, dude, I've been doing this for 20 fucking years. I've been doing this for 20 years. I don't know what to tell you, but you're just wrong. And eventually there was sort of an acquiescence to saying, okay, perhaps I was wrong. This was the bill of goods that was sold. This was the gaslighting. And even today on Truth Social, the headline is tariffs, all caps, exclamation points. It's just a strange thing that, well, not strange. Now we're in it, right? So now we're in it. And this is a trade war that we will lose because the American people who claim to be in support of this approach will suffer. All right? They're the ones that are going to suffer. And I don't know how else to explain it to people, but this is the reality that they have voted for. We've got, the military use going after ISIS, using the military, threatening Panama, threatening Canada, threatening Denmark, over Greenland, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? And that was the promise of no new wars, promise of gas prices going down, promise of egg prices going down, and none of it. And they are still attempting to gaslight. Don't let them. We have to push back. All right, the box is open, and just as a reminder, please please check out our new hub because it's freaking awesome. There's new merch there. There's a Fuck Trump t-shirt in Morse code that I highly recommend. I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Okay. There's brand new merch in the merch store. Just again, we've got our TikTok feed is now on our HQ page. It's really we're making progress, right? We're moving up in the world. We've moved from Betamax to we went right over VHS, right over CD, right over MP3 player. We are now like whatever streaming. Okay. I want to just thank some new members that we got. Thanks to Ken Mom for subscribing over the weekend. Thanks to Navy Vet. Thanks to Teen. Also, my cash apps are above my head. And I want to thank you real quick to Aaron. Thank you, Aaron, for this came in over the weekend. Thank you, Aaron, so much. I appreciate you very much. Thank you, Mike. Mike says, how do you do this every day? I'm like, I don't know, Mike, but I appreciate that. Thank you to Marie. Hey, Marie says, Steve. That's it. So thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. Okay, so let's kind of jump into this. This is, again, one of those stories that's unreported. Again, who's in charge? We know that it's the billionaire class, right? We know that they will benefit from everything here. The executive orders that they are instituting to cut funding for programs, the whole foreign aid piece, and I want to get into that in just a second. All those cuts last week, thankfully, a federal judge stepped in and said, you can't do this. It's unconstitutional. And let's remember, thank you very much. Let's remember how our government works. Many people don't, money is appropriated by Congress through the House of Representatives. They have the checkbook, right? They're the ones that ultimately decide on the budget. It's negotiated. They're the ones that ultimately decide. Once money is appropriated, that money, the president has a few days, I forget what it is. It might be 30 days to either renegotiate and or make some determinations about how the money is to be spent. Okay, so there are some levers within the federal government that does allow the president to have some level of control as to when the money goes out. Office of Management and Budget, which is connected to the Treasury, are the ones that write the check. We're going to get into the weirdness with DOGE and the Treasury Department in just a minute. But all these things are intended to benefit the corporate class. And we know that because of some of the other executive actions that they're initiating, but there's also legislation. Now, I don't know if you guys heard about this one, but this also happened in the last Congress and it went nowhere. All right. H.R. 86 to abolish the Occupational Safety and Health Administration for other purposes. That's OSHA. OSHA protects you as a worker. It provides, it mandates that the environment is safe, that there are safe best practices that are in accordance with safety, right? It's H.R. 86. It's a bill. It's really simple. Introduced by, who introduced this? Oh, Andy Biggs. Shocker. Andy Biggs from the Freedom Caucus. To abolish the Occupational Safety and Health Administration and for other purposes, be it enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. Section 1, short title. This act may be cited as nullify Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or the NOSHA Act. The Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970 is repealed. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration is abolished. A reminder, 2 tenets of fascism: labor power is suppressed, corporate power is protected. We talk about this shit all the time, right? Exactly. Oh my God. These are the things that, thank you to my amazing team for providing that context for me. It's another example. Who benefits when you remove elements of safety? Who benefits from corporations having to invest to make their workplace safer? Who benefits from corporations removing the education and the training around OSHA? Who benefits from firing people who are responsible for that in organizations? Yeah, you got it. Corporations. Yep. Yep. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. I appreciate you. Meow, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
So what do you mean by the background of who's in charge?
Who's in charge? It's certainly not Trump.
Well, what do you mean by Trump is not in charge? What do you mean by that?
Okay, so did you vote for Trump?
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you still under the impression that he's not connected to Project 2025?
He is, so I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to deny that, but
okay, so because all during the campaign, he tried to distance himself, and his supporters said the same thing, that he's got nothing to do with that, and we can just look at the executive orders. So do you understand that he's literally initiating executive orders that line up perfectly with Project 2025, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then the Heritage Foundation, the billionaire class, they're the ones that are in charge.
You know what? Yeah, I could. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I can understand where you're going with that. I see that.
Are you happy with that?
Not necessarily, no.
You voted for that.
When it comes to why I voted for Trump, it was mainly to because I felt like he'd be better in terms of, world peace or getting us out of every conflict that we are currently involved in, whether that be indirectly or directly.
So then, but now he wants to engage us in more conflicts.
Can I ask with who, if it's okay?
Panama, threatening Panama to go take back the Panama Canal, threatening Denmark to get Greenland.
Well,
going after ISIS in Africa over the weekend.
Well, I mean, ISIS, they've been a terrorist organization from the get-go.
Terrorist, I understand that, but was it the whole? But what you just said was you didn't want someone doing those things, so you voted for him for that.
Well, I mean, when it comes to what he said about, possibly taking those territories by force, I'm not in support of that.
Okay, but that's what you voted for, man. This is what you voted for.
Here's the thing. If we could possibly, buy Greenland, I am in support of that 100%.
So let me ask you a question. And I want you to be honest with me. When in your life, prior to the last month, had you ever thought about Greenland?
Well, I mean, I've been studying this entire thing for close to a decade, so
you've been studying Greenland. You've been studying Greenland for a decade?
No, I've been studying history and stuff like that. So I constantly go back to us trying to buy Greenland for well over a century, and Denmark.
Yeah. So Greenland's been on the top of your mind for the past decade.
I'm not on the top, but I do go back to it on occasion. And plus, I talked to my mom about this.
Do you want? I'm going to throw the bullshit flag. Okay. I think it's convenient for you to say that because it's now being discussed. But come on, all right. People can see through it. Nobody was talking about Greenland. There's people in our country who voted for Trump that don't even know where fucking Greenland is on a map. Okay.
I know where Greenland is.
You do? Okay. Where is Greenland?
Greenland is close to Iceland. What is that? Northwest, close to Iceland. It's in the Arctic. And it is controlled by Denmark. It's been under
That's right. So why do you think Trump wants Greenland?
Well, there are two possibilities,
what are they?
which have been the main key reasons why we have been wanting it. Greenland's natural resources, which are valued at, $200 trillion.
What about America first?
Well, I mean, I feel like that would help out if we get natural resources.
But isn't the whole point we shouldn't be spending money other places?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Wasn't the whole point of America First that we shouldn't be spending money other places? So now it's convenient that we just go out and spend money and go take Greenland? I mean, how is that going to help us?
We gain more benefit than what we don't gain. We gain benefit.
So you want to acquire? Sorry, thank you for that in the chat. So you want to acquire a country so we can steal their resources? We're not.
If it benefits us, then I'm all for it.
Oh, if it benefits us, so fuck them. So fuck them, basically.
Greenland's leader already said that they are okay with negotiating with Trump.
No, they did not say that. Yes, that's another right-wing law. That's absolutely not true. That's not true, and you know it's not true.
He said that before Trump's inauguration. He said that. What is it? January 7th? I think he said that. January 6th, January 7th is when he said.
But they didn't say that. So once again, what's the other reason? You said there were two reasons. What's the other reason? Okay. You said one was that he wanted to steal the resources. Okay, what's the other one?
Well, three, actually. I just thought of the other one, but three. So the second one would be control of Arctic shipping routes. That's two.
Okay, control of Arctic shipping routes. Okay, okay. We'll talk about that one in a second. This is going to be fun. And number three?
Three is being able to control Russia easier.
Oh, okay. So that's funny that you say that. Do you know that there is a massive military installation on Greenland that supports NATO?
Yes, and I know we have many military bases on Greenland.
That supports NATO. So why would we need to acquire it if there's already a base there that supports NATO?
Well, I mean, we want Greenland for every single one of those three reasons that I just mentioned.
Can you answer my question? Why would you? Because your claim was so that we could control Russia. There's already a military base there designed to do just that. So why would we need to do it?
Well, what is one military base going to do against Russia?
It is a massively large military base that supports NATO.
Right. It's just one military base, though.
So what would you, okay, so this is the part that you're missing, right? One of the reasons that Trump wants to acquire NATO or acquire Greenland is because it's not unlike why he wants to annex Canada and also Panama. It's all about Russia, because there is a massive military installation on Greenland that supports NATO. Of course, Putin doesn't like that. He wants to acquire the Panama Canal because there are massive sanctions against Russian cargo ships going through the Panama Canal. And he wants to annex Canada to do his buddy Putin a favor because of all the resources in Canada. That's the common thread.
Well, when it comes to Canada, he mentioned that because he was trolling with Trudeau. They've been busting each other's balls since Trump got elected.
He's trolling?
He was trolling with Trudeau.
Like a 25% tariff is trolling?
When he said that he wanted to annex Canada.
He still talks about it. He talked about it over the weekend.
He's not going to annex Canada.
How do you know?
We have no need to annex Canada.
Oh, so we shouldn't believe him? So he's lying to you. So when he says he's going to do it, he's lying?
It was a troll against Trudeau.
Right. So, okay, but he's lying. So he's lying to you.
Sure.
So when can, so thank you for admitting he's lying. So when can we believe him?
Oh, when he does it. When he does it, I'll believe it. But I doubt he's going to do it.
So were you under the impression that he wasn't going to initiate tariffs? Or were you under that impression? Did you think they were just negotiating tools?
Tariffs, I knew he was going to do.
Right, and you think that's a good thing, right?
Not necessarily. No.
But you vote. So again,
I'm not in support of
what the fuck did you vote for then, man?
Immigration and foreign policy and foreign affairs.
Foreign policy, like pissing off our allies?
Well, he didn't say that he was going to do it before he got elected, did he?
Yes, he did. He's been talking about, who do you think the tariffs were going to go against? Just China? Where do you get your news from, man? You are so unbelievably lost on this.
Oh, my God.
You are. You are lost.
Of foreign policy and foreign affairs, like
what? Those are nice words, but like what foreign policy?
Like getting us out of fucking Ukraine instead of funding every single known conflict we get out of.
Oh, so why would we, you don't want, I have a question for you, comrade. Was the Russian invasion of Ukraine justified?
Depends on from our end, it wasn't justified, but Ukraine's government was playing stupid games from.
So you feel like Russia was justified in invading Ukraine?
Sure.
You do. Okay, so I want to start again. What did you have for breakfast today?
I'm sorry, say it again?
What did you have for breakfast today?
I didn't have breakfast yet.
Good, nobody fucking cares. Wow. Remember the gaslight? Yeah. Remember the gaslight. Just as a reminder. Remember the gaslight.
Well, hello.
Hi, how are you?
That guy, the fact that he said me and my mum have talked about it, I feel like he was about 18.
No, he's older than that, but.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Just as a human from another nation, I can tell you that overwhelmingly, Europeans particularly, we don't want our governments to cooperate with Trump. The absolute opposite. We want, excuse me, that moment in Love Actually, where they decide that President Billy Bob Thornton's actually a bad guy.
Yeah, he's a dick. Yep.
And Hugh Grant says, no, we're not going to cooperate with you because this relationship has become a bad one. Correct. That's what we all feel like right now. And I'm annoyed. Trump has said that at the moment, although he's saying he's going to tariff the EU, he's not going to tariff the UK because apparently Keir Starmer was quite nice to him. I'm livid with Keir Starmer for being quite nice to him.
Of course you are.
Livid.
Mm-hmm. Livid.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
All right. I was going to say your shadow's weird behind you. Oh, that made me laugh. Yeah. He doesn't know anything about international relations. That last gentleman he had up.
No, he does not. Once again, it just proves. See, well, I won't get into it, but the specifics around the gaslight, when you ask the simple question, if the invasion of Russia was justified, people gobbling up Russian propaganda when they think that they're not. That's just the worst to me. Literally that. We've gone through this exercise before. It's just, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
And I want to remind people, Trump is not talking about, you might notice that he's no longer talking about leaving NATO. He's talking about how it's a bad deal, but he's no longer talking about leaving NATO. And the reason for that is his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, put forth a bill to the Senate that passed that the US cannot leave NATO without a Senate majority vote. So his own Secretary of State has scuppered him on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a stupid ass idea.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Anyway, I only popped up for a second. I'm busy writing lessons.
Okay.
But I'm in the comments for a little while.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. It's just amazing to me that, you contradict yourself in the same comments, right? I voted for him to take us out of wars. Okay. Well, we're threatening people, right? We're threatening to invade sovereign nations. Like, we've talked about this before, you guys, and just as a reminder, there is a common thread between Greenland, Canada, and Panama, and it's Russia. Stop denying it. It's real. Large NATO installation there that supports NATO in defense of Europe for Russia, against Russia. Why the fuck do you think Trump wants it? He didn't give a fuck about the resources. So we're okay now becoming... Isn't that the whole point? God, you fucking mouth breathers out there have been like, well, we shouldn't be anywhere else. Our damn business. States' rights, brother. We shouldn't be anywhere else. We should only be focusing on our own country. And now the only thing he's talked about since he's been in office has been Canada, Panama, Greenland, Denmark, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mexico, the list. Where is it? Where's Bill's? Where is going after corporate greed? Where is price gouging measures? Why are we still continuing to harm American people? Why are we taking rights away? Why do we want to abolish OSHA? That's America first? Okay, whatever. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Yeah, that's logic. That's MAGA logic. Hey, Andy. How you doing, buddy? Oop. You're not. Hey, Andy. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
All right, bud. What's going on?
Again, entering week 3 of the Trump hell that is what we're currently dealing with. And, I was listening to the previous guest that you had on before, Erica. I was just dumbfounded by how misinformed he is. Like,
crazy.
Did he even say, where he get his information?
I don't even bother to ask.
What specifically was... what was his whole thing? Because I jumped on pretty late into that conversation, and what was his whole take on everything regarding Ukraine and just basically what you were talking about with him?
Yeah, the reasons that he voted for Trump was first of all he asked what's your background, and I was trying to explain to him. We went through the exercise of saying, were you one of those people who Trump disavowed Project 2025 during the campaign? He kind of acknowledged that he sort of was, and then realized that actually, Project 2025 is the plan. That's exactly what they're doing. So then I said, then who's in charge? It's like, okay, I guess that makes sense. And I'm like, are you comfortable with that? He's like, well, blah, blah, blah. And then we started to get into the exercise as to why he actually chose to vote for Trump. And he said foreign policy, foreign affairs, basically keeping America out of everybody else's business. And yet all Trump wants to do is get in everybody else's business. He was comfortable just stealing resources from Greenland, didn't seem to care about that. And then the question of Ukraine came up. And I asked him if it was justified, if Putin's invasion was justified, and he said it was.
Yeah, that part I did hear towards the end. And it's like, you can just say, it's not that hard to say, Putin's invasion of Ukraine wasn't justified, point blank, period. I don't get how some people don't seem to grasp that. And, just to get to the idea of your prompt, not your idea, but to answer your question on the prompt, who's in charge? It's clearly not Trump. I mean, he's making all the decisions and signing all the executive orders. but it just seems like Musk is also at the helm of all this, because I think
Andy,
they're
he's not making the decisions, man. He's not. He's being told what to do. His ego is being stroked. The reason we know this is because I said this earlier. If you watch him during these bullshit signings, still watching him sit behind the Resolute desk is just nauseating. When you watch him be presented with a leather-bound book with the EO in it, basically to take away people's rights, he's like, oh, this is a good one. Like, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Everybody is telling him, these are the things you're going to sign, and you're going to be great, Mr. President. Everybody's going to love you. We're going to stroke your ego. He doesn't know what he's doing. He has no idea. He has no idea.
It's funny that you say that, because, like, isn't that the exact same thing, like, the Republicans were harping on in terms of Biden? Because, like, they sang this whole song and dance of, like, Yep. So it's like, okay, so, you don't want a puppet in office, but you're willing to control another puppet just to stroke your own ego and to stroke not only your ego, but this asshole's ego. Got it. It's like...
If anybody had any reasonable, objective conversation, you know that a president has a staff, all right? The people around you, you surround yourself with the best people. That's the whole goal, right? You have people who are advising you, people who are making suggestions, people who are experts in their field and provide, advice and consent to the president. That's what you do. You surround yourself with good people. But Trump surrounding himself with people like, I don't know, like fucking Kash Patel and Linda McMahon and Pete Hegseth and the guy from the new transportation secretary. I mean, they're freaking idiots. It's ridiculous.
Just like when you mentioned Kash Patel, I got a slight headache from that. And just like watching his whole Senate hearings was nauseating to the bone. And it's just, and to your point, a president should be surrounding himself by people who know what's best and just like try to bring him down to the level in which like a president should operate. But with this guy, nobody gives a shit. They're just stroking his ego and just like giving him no guardrails. And that's the scary part, because it's like how much more guardrails need to come down before people start to realize, and the people that voted for him do not, that this guy is not for the American way of life. This is not the way that America should be represented. And again, MAGA needs to get that Canada is not going to be annexed and become the 51st state, no matter how many times they're saying like, oh yeah, we want to annex Canada, Greenland, that we want to take Greenland. If we put military boots on the ground on either, but if we put military boots on the ground in either Greenland, Mexico, or Panama, or whatever fucking country that he wants to annex next, that's going to be the true start of World War III. So it's like, how much more do they really need? Like, it's right there in front of you.
I know. I appreciate you jumping in this morning, buddy. As always. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
have a good day. Later.
Same to you.
It's the gaslight. It's the hypocrisy. And I saw people saying this, like Biden was. So your argument is stupid, right? Your argument is dumb. Your complaint was you didn't feel like you didn't think Biden was in charge because somebody behind him was pulling the strings. Okay, if you felt that way, then be objective and say the same thing here. At least we had at least our first caller jumped in and realized and said, oh yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. This was on Friday about Russia-Ukraine conflict. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Again, please consider subscribing. Just want to welcome Christina to our subscriptions. Thank you very much for becoming a subscriber. You can subscribe here, FactsStillMatter.site, and please check out the new resource hub. It's great. All kinds of cool shit there. Actually, a benefit for subscribers will be subscribers only content. And we're working on that. We've created that over the weekend. Discounts on merch, and my pay apps are here. I realize people can't necessarily recharge their gifts. So if you want to support, instead of sending me, $1 gift, send it to the FactsStillMatter Cash App and PayPal, or please consider subscribing. Again, thank you to Christina Marie. Thank you to Phil. Thank you to Julia. Thank you to Emily for subscribing. I appreciate you guys very much. All right. This story about Trump promising negotiations with Putin. Trump says that he and Putin, this is from the AP, that he and Putin could do something significant toward ending Russia's war in Ukraine. Listen to the headline. Trump says he and Putin could do something significant toward ending Russia's war in Ukraine. Interesting. Why was Zelensky's name not on that list? The twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster, convicted felon, President Trump on Friday said his administration has already had, quote, very serious discussions with Russia about its war in Ukraine, that he and President Vladimir Putin could soon take, quote, significant action toward ending the grinding conflict. We will be speaking, and I think we'll perhaps do something that'll be significant. We want to end that war. That war would have never started if I was president. Trump did not say who from his administration has been in contact with the Russians, but insisted the two sides were already talking. Asked if he's already spoken directly with Putin, Trump was coy. I don't want to say that. Trump has said repeatedly he wouldn't have allowed the conflict to start if he had been in office, even though he was president as fighting grew in eastern Ukraine between Kiev's forces and separatists backed by Moscow, ahead of Putin sending in tens of thousands of troops in 2002, something that they don't talk about on the right. The president in a Fox News interview earlier in January ridiculed Zelensky as, quote, talking so brave when Ukraine was so dependent on U.S. to fight its war. They were brave, but we gave them billions of dollars. So think about that, all right? Think about the rhetoric. Listen, if I were the president and I wanted that war to end, I would say, as the most powerful military on earth, I would say, Vlad, you want this war to end? Then withdraw your troops. Game over. The war ends. Why was that not mentioned? Why was our previous guest echoing, before Andy, echoing Russian propaganda that Ukraine was doing some shit? Nope. And then that leads me into a story that I wanted to talk about how, I don't know if you saw this, but the Pentagon has kicked out NBC, NPR, Politico, and some other journalistic organizations that have been there for a very long time. In the Pentagon, just like in the White House, there's the White House press office, there's the Pentagon press office, and they're staffed by the press, right? Freedom of the press, after all. To be replaced at the Pentagon by OAN, the One America Network, OAN, Breitbart News, which is Steve Bannon's news channel, and the New York Post. So that makes sense, which again is another tenet of fascism: control the message, right? Control the media. So those news organizations are not exactly unbiased. Now, NBC News, if you were to look at the grid for media bias, is right in the middle, but they score very high on factual reporting, unlike OAN. So let's just do that real quick. Let's just do the media bias fact checker. Let's do that. Let's just see what it says. Okay. So I've used this before. You guys know this. The media bias fact checker basically is just it's an aggregator, and it's right down the middle. They just report on the accuracy of stories, right? So they track. Let's try One America. Let's see what they say about One America. It's loading. One America News. One America News Network. OAN. Let's see what it says. Oh, wow. Extreme right bias. A questionable source exhibits, and they list them as a questionable source. A questionable source exhibits one or more of the following: extreme bias, consistent promotion of propaganda conspiracies, poor or no source nor sourcing to credible information, a complete lack of transparency, and or is fake news. Fake news is a deliberate attempt. Hold on. Fake news is the deliberate attempt to publish hoaxes and or disinformation for profit or for influence. Sources listed in the questionable category may be untrustworthy and should be fact-checked on a per-article basis. Please note, sources on this list are not considered fake news unless specifically written in the reasoning section for that source. Overall, we rate One America News questionable based on far-right bias, lack of sourcing, promotion of conspiracy theories and propaganda, as well as numerous failed fact checks. OAN is not a credible news source. They are replacing, let's look at NBC News. Let's look at NBC News. Let's see what they have to say about NBC News. So OAN, that's the list that we just read for you. They are replacing, NBC News. I'm not sure if it's a one for one, but that's, why is this not loading? All right, let's see. Hold on. I've been having some issues with my computer. Everybody, please keep tapping. All right. NBC. NBC scores high on factual reporting, left of center. Overall, we rate NBC left of center based on story selection and word choices that moderately favor the left, and very high for factual reporting due to proper sourcing and a reasonable fact checker. Yes, all news outlets have a bias, but the key is factual reporting. So their score is factual reporting high, credibility high compared to OAN. Right? Let's use another. They're gonna put Breitbart in. Breitbart is going to replace NPR. So let's do that side by side, shall we? That's going to be a good one. Let's do Breitbart. Breitbart, bias and credibility. Oh, low credibility. A questionable source. Overall, we rate Breitbart questionable based on extreme right bias, the publication of conspiracy theories and propaganda, as well as numerous false claims. Wow. Okay. That's not good. And they're going to be replacing NPR. Okay. Let's see. NPR, National Public Radio. Bias and credibility. Let's check that one out. Very high factually. Overall, we rate NPR left center bias based on story selection, left center. Based on story selection that leans slightly left, but very high for factual reporting due to thorough sourcing and accurate news information. So again, Breitbart and OAN both scored very high, are very extreme right, and very low on credibility and propaganda, conspiracy theorist bettors, replacing NBC News and NPR, which both scored pretty much down the middle, left center bias, but very high on factual reporting and sourcing. And yet we think that that's a good thing to get information reported from the Pentagon, you know, the largest military in the world. The largest single item in our budget is to fund the military, with the exception of Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. And it's now led by a guy who is a known YT nationalist, wants to kick out members of our military who've served honorably if they happen to be of the LGBTQ community. That makes sense. Yeah. That's great. Love that for us. Okay. We have a few other things that we need to look at today. All right. I want to go back to no, sir, you request every single day. I'm not going to debate you. We talked about HR 86, which is the bill to eliminate OSHA. They're calling it NOSHA. We've talked about the stock market. I'm going to be watching it at 9:00. Price of gas is up a dime. Up a nickel. Price of eggs are up 23%, and that price is going to continue to go up. We are doing away with protections for the labor workforce. We're doing away with protections for just about anybody who's not a white male in our country. But let's talk about some of the things that Elon has been doing. Well, first, let's go back to the tariff piece, because we're now going to start to feel the effects. Stock market's going to be the first to respond. We know that the stock market and futures trading is down about 500 points. Plus or minus, and we get roughly 40% of our imports between Canada, Mexico, and China. Now, there's already been announcements of retaliatory trade. Hopefully this audio will play because it's great, and I apologize if it doesn't. But this is, I think this tells us a lot. The British Columbia Prime Minister or Premier of BC says they're going to stop buying liquor from red states. That's fun. Yeah, so all the red states out there that are selling their liquor to Canada, and it's a lot. They're gonna stop buying it from red states. So that's good. That's a win, right? That's all about America first. And there's other premiers as well. So the premier of Ontario will be removing U.S. alcohol from the shelves after Trump's tariffs announcement. The Liquor Control Board of Ontario will remove American alcohol from its shelves in response to Trump's tariffs on Canada. Ontario Premier Doug Ford ordered the products to be off the shelves beginning tomorrow when the tariff is set to go into place. Ontario will put all American alcohol from its government-run liquor shelves, will pull it all from their shelves in response to Trump's tariff war. Outlets of the Liquor Control Board of Ontario will also take the U.S. products out of its catalog, so other retailers can't order or restock those items, according to a Sunday statement by the Premier. That's nice. Every year, this quote, every year, LCBO sells nearly $1 billion worth of American wine, beer, spirits, and seltzers. Not anymore. There's never been a better time to choose an amazing Ontario-made or Canadian-made product. Canada first. Ford's announcement came just hours after Canadian Premier Justin Trudeau slapped a retaliatory tariff of 25% against $155 billion of U.S. goods. The LCBO is one of the largest wholesalers of alcohol, selling more than 1.1 billion liters of alcohol produced products in Ontario in 2023. According to the Observatory of Economic Complexity, Canada primarily imports hard liquor from America with an estimated $320 million in sales. The U.S.'s second main export destination for liquor as of October 2024 is Canada, with $25.9 million trade value, according to the OAC. So Canada says, fuck you to Jack Daniels, fuck you to everything else, right? I think it's interesting, though, that the Premier of British Columbia, or the whatever it is, has said specifically red states. So they're going to pull, they're not going to allow anybody in red states who produces any whiskey, any liquor, or whatever that might be. So that's good. That's a good one. I also wanted to read to you the response by the Mexican president, because Sheinbaum, because she is spectacular. And she basically said, F you as well. So this will just take me a minute, but I think it's necessary. All right. This is from the president of Mexico, President Sheinbaum. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Please consider subscribing. We categorically reject the White House's slander against the government of Mexico of having alliances with criminal organizations, as well as any intention to interfere in our territory. If such an alliance exists anywhere, it is in the gun stores of the U.S. that sell high-powered weapons to these criminal groups. As demonstrated by the United States Department of Justice itself in January of this year, our government has seized more than 40 tons of drugs in 4 months, including 20 million doses of F drug. It has also arrested more than 10,000 people linked to these groups. If the U.S. government and its agencies wanted to address the serious consumption of F in their country, they could, for example, combat the sale of narcotics on the streets of their main cities, which they do not do, and the money laundering that is generated by this. Illegal activity that has done so much damage to its population, it could also start a massive campaign to avoid the consumption of these drugs and take care of its young people. I don't know, universal health care maybe, as we have done in Mexico. The consumption and distribution of drugs in their country, and it's a public health problem that they have not addressed. Furthermore, the synthetic opioid epidemic in the United States has its origins in the indiscriminate prescription of medications of this type, authorized by the FDA, as demonstrated by the trial against a pharmaceutical company, one that enriches itself, right? Mexico does not want confrontation. We start from collaboration between neighboring countries. Mexico not only does not want the F drug to reach the U.S., but anywhere. Therefore, if the United States wants to combat criminal groups that traffic these drugs and generate violence, we must work together in a comprehensive manner, but always under the principles of shared responsibility, mutual trust, collaboration, and above all, respect for sovereignty, which is not negotiable. Coordination, yes. Subordination, no. To do this, I propose to President Trump that we establish a working group with our best public health and safety teams in mind. It is not with the imposition of tariffs that the problems are resolved, but by talking and dialoguing as we did in recent weeks with your State Department to address the phenomenon of migration, in our case, with respect for human rights. The graph that President Trump has been uploading to his social networks about the decrease in migration was prepared by my work team, which has been in constant communication with his team. Trump, again, taking credit for a decline in immigration that was produced by the Mexican government that he tried to take credit for. I instruct the Secretary of our Economy to implement Plan B that we have been working on, which includes tariff and non-tariff measures in defense and in response to protect Mexico's interests. Nothing by force, all for reason and right. She is fucking awesome. Claudia Sheinbaum, she is fucking awesome. That's what leadership is. Canada has responded. Mexico has responded. Other trading partners around the world are responding. And I think what you're going to see is a byproduct of this. It's not just the short-term damage to our economy and the suffering for the American consumer, but trading alliances shifting. Trading alliances shifting to China. Because why would you want to deal with somebody like Trump? All right, so it's 9 o'clock, which means the stock market has opened. So I want to check the Dow as it opens, because today is going to be a big day. All right, so it opened at 44,544. So which is down. It was down 700 points on Friday. So it closed at 44,544. Remember, the Dow was breaking records regularly under the Biden administration. So we will see what happens. Gas averages up a dime. Egg prices continue to skyrocket. Yeah. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to lean into this this news about the Treasury. Guess you guys have been paying attention. The Treasury Department, Scott Bessent, who, by the way, was a George Soros protege. He is the new Secretary of the Treasury. He was given Elon Musk's team's access to federal payments. I don't think people understand how unbelievably alarming that is, right? We know the U.S. aid component that Trump's team, DOGE in general, has given access to that. And I want to remind people about something. People get hung up on U.S. aid thinking that it's just military aid. Well, one of the reasons that we don't have, outbreaks of Ebola or hemorrhagic fever or things like that is because we provide foreign aid, humanitarian aid to these countries where these outbreaks happen, right? So in coordination with the WHO, which the Trump team has pulled us out of, right? We invest money in these countries. Tanzania, for example, they're going through a massive outbreak. Countries like that, we invest in the infrastructure in their countries to create isolation areas, to help them distribute vaccines, to help them with treatments. And we do that so that it stays isolated in that country. So if you want to remove all foreign aid, right? If you want to literally have your finger on the checkbook or just tear the check up and not provide those kinds of support and services to those countries, then we can expect the next outbreak, the next pandemic, the next health crisis. One of the reasons that polio is mitigated and almost gone in our country is because we addressed it where it was, right? We provided vaccines to people. Hemorrhagic fever, Ebola, all these things that are just so freaking deadly. That's why American foreign aid and investments in these countries is so critical, because it stops it at the source. And that's something that they are now saying no. Everything, you guys, is to justify and to pay for the tax cuts. Everything. $5.8 trillion guesstimate over 10 years is what it's going to cost. I'm sorry, over 5 years is what it's going to cost. And to pay for that, you punish the American consumer through tariffs. You punish the American consumer by raising their taxes. You punish the American consumer and the world through not investing in stopping the spread of infectious diseases. It's nuts. It's crazy. No, you're right. We're not prepared for another pandemic. There's no way we could be, because we're losing resources. Hi, how are you this morning? Just Liz here. Hi, Liz.
Hi, Steve. I just wanted to kind of chime in on the tariffs. I can tell you that in Kentucky alone, last time he was in office, we lost $337 million on the bourbon industry alone in sales. And I put together some stats just for our Commonwealth here.
Go for it.
We have currently 2.7 million barrels in Kentucky in bourbon barns all across central Kentucky. That's 157.5 fists for each barrel, which adds up to 425,250,000 fists of bourbon that are in jeopardy here. Now those barrels, they come due at different times, but our industry employs 7,000 Kentuckians in the state alone, and over the U.S. they employ anywhere The last statistic I could find was 21,700. And the bourbon industry themselves have expected a 214% increase over the next 20 years. That was in 21 as well.
Wow.
But with him back in office, that's going to impair us significantly.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you start to see one of your number one trading partner with American liquor, in particular Canada, saying, yeah, we're not going to bother stocking the shelves, we're not going to buy it anymore. That's going to prop up the industry in Canada for sure, but it's going to punish American consumers. It's going to punish people that like you that are in that industry. Yep.
I just live near it and consume it. I don't work in it, but it does affect people that I know and love.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought I'd give you those statistics, just one example of how bad he's going to hurt people.
I appreciate you saying that, Liz. Thanks for jumping in this morning. You have a good day.
Thank you for all you do, Steve. You're wonderful. I love your show.
I appreciate you, Liz, for saying that. You have a great day.
You too.
Bye. Again, all the varying little sort of ancillary industries that come off of these things that get impacted, right? That people don't talk about. Bridget, how are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Just a quick question. What do MAGA think about the trade issues with Canada? I'm not understanding what they agree with.
I'm not sure I understand your question. Like, why are they?
Why are they supporting the tariffs with Canada? It's not the smug and issues, the smitten issues. So why are they okay with that?
Because they are woefully misinformed. The right wing echo chamber has convinced them that tariffs will accomplish a whole bunch of things, like bringing jobs back to America. There's already 7.9 million unopened jobs, or jobs that are not filled in our country. We have a 4% unemployment rate. They want to deport more people, so they're not going to. If the plan is to bring jobs back to America, we don't have the people to work them. First of all, we don't have manufacturing to supplement. We don't have the mineral supply. We don't have a lot of things.
So what are they? I unfortunately, my algorithm does not go into those lives, so I really don't know what they believe, and so I'm just like, there are 800,000 jobs that are open. What are you guys talking about?
Well, it's 8 million jobs open.
8 million.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, again, this is what they've been convinced. They've been told. See. And now you're starting to see some cracks. Now you're starting to see when, first of all, they didn't think the tariffs would ever be implemented. They said it was a threat. They didn't think that Trump would ever talk about invading other nations when he's actually really talking about it. So now their entire argument has to shift. Now they have to say, okay, yeah, we know that the prices are going to go up a little bit, when all they did for years was bitch and moan about it. But for the price of everything, about all of it. And now that prices are going up, their only response to be able to address it is say, yeah, it's okay. It's okay for now. Long-term pain, America first, or short-term pain for long-term gain. There is no long-term gain. There is none. The American people will suffer, and it's something that we need to address. But thanks for jumping in on that, Bridget.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, hon. I love you.
Have a good day. I love
always.
You too. Have a great day. Bye. I'm going to bring up Eve real quick. First of all, for everybody who's just joining, if you do go to FactsStillMatter.site, you can thank Eve for that, because the work that she did over the weekend, it was amazing, and I'm so grateful for your help with that, friend. So thank you very much.
You are very welcome. It's my pleasure.
I'll be right back.
You bet. All right. Well, y'all know that I'm here to remind you to support our amazing hostess with the mostest. He is our journalistic juggernaut and our juicy jokester. And he's here every day bringing you facts over feelings, because facts still matter, and they always will. So if you have the means, let's help Facts meet his gift goal. You can find the pay apps in the link tree of his bio. You'll also find the Facts Hub HQ link as well as the Discord link there. Now, with the Hub HQ, you can also reach that by going to FactsStillMatter.site. And if you're there and you're a sub, you get 10% off the merch down at the bottom, which the lovely Erica had set up. You can also find that at the perks or the members only link. And that is on the Facts HQ. Join now and subscribe for $3 a month. It's a hell of a deal. Now, if you're just looking for something that's a fun, free forum for the Facts family to frolic, then join the Discord. If that link doesn't work, try to copy and paste it in a browser or reach out to a moderator and we'll hook you up. When you join, please open a ticket and verify your account. There's a whole Discord server that you won't have access to until you get verified. If you have questions, ask away in the unverified lobby and a moderator will help you. If you haven't already, please click that follow me or heart me up at the top next to Fax's name. You can join the team for the cost of a penny. You can do this every day, and it helps to keep you interact in the comments as well as tapping your little hearts out. It's always free to tap and share out the live. If you don't have any friends, just click the copy link. It works the same as the share, and no one will be the wiser. And it's also a great way to meet some new people in our chat. Even you, Paul, if you're in there, my friend, I haven't seen you this morning, but make a friend or two. Yeah.
Also, he's still brushing his hair to my face.
Yeah, there's definitely an obsession there. It's a red flag for me. Now, folks, after this live, if you would please head on over to YouTube, subscribe to Facts Still Matter there. You can rewatch any shows that you missed, or you can listen to my amazing mod announcement on repeat.
Yes,
like a
over
video.
and over.
Like a video while you're there. Subscriptions on YouTube are free, just like following your favorite creators here on TikTok. Lastly, be kind, smile at a stranger, and have a fuck your feelings kind of day.
Thank you, Eve, very, very much. You ready?
I am. Whee!
And as a reminder, friends, brand new shirt in the merch store. It's in code. If you know Morse code, if you know, you know. I'll give you a hint. It says "fuck Trump," so that would be a great shirt to wear in public and walk into various places and just, don that. That's available in the merch store. Okay. I do think we need to put this back up, though. How tariffs work. That image is rough, legend, but it's freaking true, right? Yeah. Thank you to, let me just do a couple of quick thank yous. Let's see. Thank you to Trucker. Can't wait for them to dissolve the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, FMCSA. No more ELDs, logbooks, drive time, on-duty time, 70-hour rule for truckers. Imagine the traffic accidents and fatalities for drivers not getting enough sleep and driving too long. That's from Trucker. Thank you for your donation on Venmo. You're right, friend. It's a really good point. I mean, if you're talking about taking out OSHA, then what's next? Thank you to Christina for subscribing. I appreciate you very much, Christina. Again, thank you to Ken Mom. Thank you to, is that everybody? That's everybody today. Again, thank you guys. I appreciate you. There's so many little, as we talked about before, and we talked about this last week, right? The intention to throw as much chaos in the water is so that we don't discuss these things, right? So everybody is focused on tariffs, because that's going to be the majority of what the mainstream media talks about, right? Don't get your news from them, guys. Whether it's from me or somebody else that you trust, just read. Go beyond the headlines, look deep, which is why when you lose agencies like Politico, who has some of the best journalists in the business, some of the best researchers in the business, they're not going to be in the Pentagon anymore. They're going to lose their office, right? We see these scenarios where we see these scenarios from the Trump administration trying to convince the American public that the news is fake. Well, when he says that, it's because he doesn't like the coverage that he gets, right? So they can control the narrative through OAN. Do you think OAN is going to kind of tackle corruption in the Pentagon? Do you think the New York Post is going to go after questionable decisions coming from the Pentagon? Of course not. That's what journalism is supposed to do. You're supposed to call balls and strikes. What our mainstream media does not do is go beyond the headline. So they're part of the problem with just offering you little bits and tidbits. Like, for example, are they covering the fact that they want to end OSHA? Of course they're not. They're not covering that. And again, for those of you that are just joining us, House Resolution 86, sponsored by fucking Andy Biggs, is to abolish the Occupational Safety and Health Administration and for other purposes. Let's just get the definition of what OSHA does, okay? This is what they do. All right. This is their mission statement, okay? OSHA's mission is to assure American workers have safe and healthful working conditions free from unlawful retaliation. OSHA carries out its mission by setting and enforcing standards, enforcing anti-retaliation provisions of the OSH Act and other federal whistleblower laws, providing and supporting training, outreach, education, and assistance, and working collaboratively with our state OSHA programs, as well as ensuring that they are at least as effective as federal OSHA, furthering a national system of worker safety and health protections. And they want to abolish it. OSHA, and to come to standards, right? To create standards and these safety practices that are recognized requires investments from companies. So that would tell me that they don't give a flying fuck about the worker. OSHA is part, you're right. OSHA literally saves lives, Mother Hen. You're absolutely right. OSHA is part of the U.S. Department of Labor. The administrator for OSHA is the Assistant Secretary of Labor for Occupational Health and Safety. OSHA's administrator answers to the Secretary of Labor, who's a member of the cabinet of the president. OSHA covers, the OSHA Act covers most private sector employers and their workers, in addition to some public sector employers and workers in the 50 states and certain territories and jurisdictions under federal authority. The jurisdictions include the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, American Samoa, Guam, Northern Mariana, Wake Island, Johnson Island, and other continental shelf islands as defined in the Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act. There is no other reason. There is absolutely no reason why you would want to eliminate OSHA unless you are doing a favor to the billionaire class once again. Health and safety. When you walk, I spent some time in manufacturing. If you ever walk into a manufacturing facility, the safety protocols that you have in place there, not only are they smart, but they're because of OSHA, right? When we joke about these things, like if you ever watch Instagram memes or whatever it might be, and you see people with like ladders connected, right? And the guy's like, OSHA, don't look here. It's kind of what they're talking about. Why would you want to eliminate OSHA? Why? So this is part of when I'm saying how the distraction is the point. So tariffs, obviously incredibly important, but doing away with news agencies from the Pentagon so they can't cover the news, doing away with OSHA, stopping funding for aid, right? Giving Elon Musk and his team keys to the Treasury to know exactly how we're spending our money, access to Social Security numbers, access to banking information. And we're going to talk about Musk and his desire to become a global bank, right? And the new iPhone update gives you access to Starlink. Do with that information what you will. This is where we are. I mean, Dems meltdown in real time. We're not melting down, my guy. This is you. This is going to affect you. Your assistant manager job at the Waffle House might be under threat because it may not be safe in the kitchen anymore. I'm not judging. I'm just saying. Yeah, don't update. That's my advice. Hey, Drew, how are you, man?
Hey, good morning, Steve. How are you, buddy?
I'm all right, brother. What's going on?
That Eve is a tough act to follow, but I'll do what I can.
Nobody can follow Eve. Nobody.
This is absolutely true. I got 2 quick points and I want to address. Well, it's not up there anymore, but the topic you had up there about who's in control. But I think I figured out why Trump hates DEI so much.
Okay.
Have you ever looked at the names of his children? Don, Eric.
Eric. Well, he doesn't hate Ivanka. Let's be real. He
hates that he
loves
can't
Ivanka.
have relations with her.
That's
Let me
more
put
true.
it that way.
That's like
So that kind of makes him angry. It makes him angry.
He hates that she has said no. Yeah.
And we know how he feels about the letter T. So since that's been dropped from the government website, so we know all about her. True. And also B's in there as well. So
that's true.
He's not real crazy about all that.
Yeah,
so that was just my first point. But
well, I mean, it's. I mean, again, we talked about this earlier. DEI again. What DEI did, and I think it was an absolutely wonderful thing to do because it asked and encouraged workplaces to create an environment that was more diverse, more equitable, and more inclusive. Right? Because last time I looked, not every American looks like me, although that's what they want by obvious tone. You heard Caroline Levitt's bullshit press conference last week, which she said, well, when you get on a plane, you want to make sure that you arrive there safely. You shouldn't have to worry about the color of your pilot. I mean, be a fucking racist. Like, just stand up there and just tell everybody you're a racist.
It's always been a net positive, and people they look at it the wrong way, and they think that they can blame it. And so it's basically just a dog whistle. There is really no argument against it.
Exactly.
We always look at policies. We like to make sure everything is being done fairly, yes. But it's a net positive. Like somebody brought up the fact the other day, like, you ever been to the bathroom in a public place? Okay, you go to a sporting event. What's going on with the women's room? Line out the door, right?
Yeah.
What's going on with the men's room? Going in and out. If there had been more diversity in the creation of those facilities, they would realize you don't really need equal space for the men and equal space for the women, because women need a little more space just by the virtue of how the bathroom needs to be designed.
Sure.
They're more likely to have children with them when they go in there.
Well,
it's going to more likely to take a little bit longer.
I think it's a bigger. It's another attempted assault on the LGBTQI community, in particular the trans.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, my second thing I wanted to bring up was: you ever see the movie Jurassic Park?
Sure. Is that your dog, by the way? Is that your dog?
That's snoring?
Yeah.
Yes. I have a giant American bully sleeping right next to me.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah. Sorry about that. He's not
okay.
quite as
Don't
big
apologize.
as.
It's just great. It's just funny.
But you know that scene where they realize that they've bred raptors?
Yeah.
And they go out to talk to the guy. I can't remember if he's Australian or British. I don't remember. But they go out to talk to him, and they hear things crashing at the fences, right? And he says what they're doing is they're attacking various points of the fence. They're looking for weak spots.
Correct.
And I think that's what our current government is doing at this moment. I think that they're crashing the fence and saying, where can we find a weak spot and what can we get away with? And that scares the hell out of me. And I think it should scare the hell out of every American, whoever you voted for, because
it's a good analogy.
That's what they're trying to do. What can we get away with and how far can we go before we get stopped?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think also this is testing the court system. So I think I'll use that as an example. So the fence in this case is the court system. They're gonna challenge things. Stephen Miller, freaking Skeletor, or whatever you want to call him, was interviewed last week, and he literally made the claim that it's his belief that birthright citizenship is unconstitutional. He said it publicly. He went out and said, "This is." So, and then the interviewer, I forget who it was, said, "Really? Like, so it's in the Constitution, and you think it's unconstitutional?" And he doubled down and said, "Yes." So they're going to challenge that. They're going to challenge it in the courts. They're going to say, which is part of the reason why, in his one address, he kept referring to invasion. I think he said it 19 times. And under the Emergency Power Acts, if the president then can convince people that the people who are here undocumented, whatever that might be, whoever they might be, were part of an invasion, then that would not give them any rights under the law because they were an invading army, thus not protected by the 14th Amendment, right? And then anybody born here to an invader would not be eligible for citizenship. So they're going to test it. They're going to test it.
They're going to
be the Raptors testing the fence.
One thing that Trump's always been, and I'm using air quotes that you can't see here, but good at, is plausible deniability. It's always the ability to say, "Oh, well, that wasn't my intention," and then of course his dogs jump on it and start barking about how that's not what he meant to say. That's not what he's going to do. Like your first caller today was a perfect representation. Well, I don't think he was actually going to do it.
Rats, states, rats, brother.
Yeah, he's going to do
exactly.
it.
Yeah. We're here. We're in the find out phase now.
Yeah, but to your topic at hand, and I always go back to this because we have to, unfortunately. But going back to Little Mustache Man, he wasn't a policy guy either.
Nope.
He didn't really have any policies. He didn't have any things in mind. What his advisors and the people around him had a policy called "Come to Mustache Man."
Correct.
And what that basically would do is they would present things that they wanted to accomplish. Maybe it may be for somebody, a group that they're representing, or just the hatred, or just something that they wanted to get done. And they would present it to him in a way that this is how it's going to make you look good, and this is how this is going to benefit us, and this is what's going to happen. And he would either say yay or nay. And I think that's what we're seeing, is that you've got the Heritage Foundation kind of pulling the strings. You've got other organizations. You've got the NRA. You've got all these different groups, money coming in the background, and they're saying, well, let's get this done. And if you could present it to him in a way that, hey, then he's going to just sign it, and he's going to blab about it. And of course, all his followers are just going to fall in line. Oh, yeah, let's go buy Greenland. Let's go do this. Let's do that. Because they know nobody's going to do any thought process. And I think that's where we're at. The scary thing is, and it's the same thing that happened with Little Mustache Man, is at some point he's going to realize he actually does have a level of power. He actually does have power that these folks that are giving him money don't. And he's going to get mad. Like I do think that at some point he's going to get mad at Elon for some reason. He's going to get mad at Hegseth for some reason. He's going to get mad, like he always does. We've seen it happen a million times. And he's going to do something stupid using the power that he has. So there's no positive outcome in this. And that's the thing that scares me. And that's what we're going to need Democrats, and we're going to need the people in the government to stand up as much as they can against what he's doing, or else we're going to be in for a lot of hurt for a lot of people.
I don't disagree. We can't depend on corporate Democrats for sure. They've proven that they're feckless. They won't stand up to it. It's going to have to come from people being involved in democracy, electing down ballot progressives across the country in state house races, and for governors, for state senators, for state reps, for U.S. Congress, for the U.S. Senate. That's what it's going to take, because that group has proven to be the ones that are going to be pushing for universal health care, for responsible gun legislation, to do away with Citizens United, to expand the Supreme Court. These are all the things that the Democratic Party is afraid of, because they know they're going to lose some of their corporate donors too. The Republican Party is deathly afraid of it, because if they don't negotiate responsible gun legislation, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, when they become the dominant parties in Congress, are literally going to turn back, they're going to flip the script on the 2A, and it will not look anything like it looks like today. So, they have a chance.
Well, that's all I got. Thanks for having me, buddy.
As always, my friend. Talk to you later.
Take care.
Later. Bye-bye. All right, let's just check on the stock market since it's opened. Yeah, okay. 700-point drop to start the day through the futures market. It's down 337 points at this moment. S&P is down 0.5 point. NASDAQ is down 0.3 of a point. U.S. dollar index is down. Yeah, okay. Gas prices remain the same from Friday at 310 on the national average. That's up though. And egg prices are just crashing, or are skyrocketing, up 23, 24, 40% in some cases. That's great. That's just wonderful. Yay us. Tool, how you doing, brother?
Hey, how's it going? This is day 873 of the new Trump administration.
It kind of feels like it. My gosh. I mean, I had blonde curly hair to start.
I believe it. I had hair at the start of this. It's just gone. I'm cue ball now.
What's on your mind, my friend?
I was just thinking, like, we're taking it all the way back to the first caller who was, upset about, probably upset about living in his home to start.
Probably.
I think if you want to have a good argument to bring up against the incel type, and I'm not shaming incels, because not all incels are bad, let's just say that, but still, a lot of incels like Legos. Mm-hmm. Denmark is going to prevent Legos from the American market if we go after Greenland.
True.
As well as Ozempic. And a lot of people like that Ozempic lately, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's very true. And I think this is a thing that I don't think people are realizing, again, because not everybody does what we do and invest time in kind of unpacking these things. But obviously, the short-term pain felt by tariffs is going to be real. It's going to, on average, there's been reporting that it's about $2,600 per American family. And then the lower, so that'd be the average American family, whatever that even is anymore. The lower you go on the income scale, the deeper it affects you. Obviously, the higher you go on the income scale, the less it affects you, to the point where you get into the 5 and the 1%, it's actually a positive. So tariffs become a positive for people in the 5 to 1%. Think about who they are, right? They're the corporations that are going to be able to charge more money for their products and services, right? So, and let's be real here. If it's a 25% tariff, do we expect corporations to just pass on a 25% increase? Probably not.
In fact, I suspect even if they don't pass along, the full 25%, or even if an item is untariffed, I'm sure just like every corporation does, they're going to see an advantage to get profits. So they're just going to raise prices across the board on non-tariffed items.
Exactly. And they'll say it's because of the tariff.
Well, it's part of, fiduciary responsibility. They must maintain profit at all costs. So it'll be just argued in earnings calls that we're just trying to maximize profit.
Yep. Exactly. Which is what we've seen now, right? We saw post COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
The justification for corporations to kind of peel back some of the money that they lost during that time, right?
Yeah, but the PPE enough for them wasn't enough for them. They had to go super profit as well.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Thank Toodle. I appreciate you, buddy, as always.
No, man, have a good week.
You too. See you later. Keep up the fight. Keep fighting, everybody. Got to keep fighting. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna do this background especially for Benny. This is for you, buddy. This one's for you. Okay.
Uh-oh. My audio is messed up. Steve, I'm gonna have to rejoin.
Okay. Come on back. Okay, we're going to keep our eye on the stock market today. Obviously, it's going to be how it's going to respond. But this is a post from Chuck Grassley. Chuck, who is 164 on his 90th year in Congress. He posted this on X. Biden inflation increased the input to cost of farming by 20%, including particularly high prices on fertilizer. So I plead with President Trump to exempt potash from the tariff because family farmers get most of our potash from Canada. Okay. Potash is the byproduct of what you get when you burn timber. And it's used to process soap and wool and things like that. Vermont has a very historical connection to potash, by the way. So here's Chuck Grassley realizing, holy fuck, this is going to screw Iowans. And you notice that he kind of slid a little bit of the dig on the Biden administration, trying to make a corollary between what happened under the Biden administration and what happened under or what's going to happen under the Trump administration. By the way, the lumber industry took a hit in our country because of the tariffs with Canada the first time. So Chuck, I plead with President Trump to exempt potash from the tariff because family farmers get most of our potash from Canada. Wow. What do you know? What do you know? So this is for you, Benny. We don't have South Africa. You don't have South Africans telling you what to do you?
Not that I'm aware of, no. I was going to come up here, do my usual spiel, but I got to be honest.
Go for it, Mike.
Canadians not feeling so fucking friendly this morning.
I don't blame you, dude. I really don't blame you. Like if you were a landlord, you'd be changing the locks.
Yeah, I got to be real. I got a lot on my mind. I'm going to use some fruity language. I'm going to try to keep it as TikTok safe as possible because I don't want the live being taken down. Couple things. One, thank you to the amount of love and support from other countries, from our blue voters in America, showing Canada love and support in this time. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's not the blue voters we're mad at. We know you guys are there. We know you guys did. Like, there are those of you who don't support what's going on, who didn't vote for this.
I'm mad at some of them, Benny, for not showing up. But I hear. I won't go there for this conversation.
That's fair. Okay. That's fair. No, but most of it is definitely directed at the red voters and the non-voters, and specifically the fucking keyboard activists who are trying to be like, Canada, how could you? Canada, you can't shut off power. Canada, you're going to affect. I'm just thinking like, okay, so you're mad at our response to your government wanting to tariff us, wanting to invade us. You're mad about that. Okay, let's unpack that. Did you vote? No, I didn't vote. I don't want to vote. Cool. Are you doing anything about it? Have you been taking any action? Well, no. No, there's no point. Okay, cool. All right. Sit down, shut the fuck up, get off your high horse, drop the fucking entitlement, and do something about it. Because Canada is. Holy shit. I don't think in my lifetime so far, my 31 years on this fucking earth, I don't think I've ever seen Canada more united than I have right now. I'm seeing right-wing folks, left-wing folks, center-leaning folks all coming together, putting Canada first. Everybody's going hashtag elbows out. Holy fuck. You have to fuck up pretty bad to piss off Canada. What the fuck?
I won't ask you specifically where you live, but I'm going to venture a guess and say Ontario. I know the premier or whatever, the prime minister of Ontario, whatever the title is, governor, has said, premier is going to pull all American liquor off the shelves.
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical of Doug Ford. He doesn't have the best track record, but the response from the provincial level, from all premiers, I think there's still a few provinces. The province I live in is New Brunswick. I don't think ours has given a response yet, but we have been in contact with their office. They're going to give a response soon. I imagine it'll probably be the same. We're either going to pull or ban all American liquor and spirits, or we're just going to pull it from red states. Either or. I'm not mad about either decision. That's fair. But yeah, I mean, you have folks who were like anti-Justin Trudeau, and after his speech over this weekend, you got people who were his harshest critics. You got people who were anti-Trudeau standing up and being like, "I'm proud of this fucking guy." Like he's given dad energy. He's telling us, "Okay, that's it. You guys want to misbehave? I'm taking away all your toys. I'm shutting the lights off. Deal with it."
I just saw something come down on True Social. Apparently, there is going to be a meeting today between the twice impeached, four-time indicted, sexually abusing officer, convicted felon, 47th president, and Justin. Apparently, that's going to happen at some point today.
Yeah, I'm awaiting the response on that. It's anxiety has been high. I preach a lot about trying to keep my stick on the ice, and it's difficult. But glove up.
I have to read this. This is relevant to your country, so I have to read this to you. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Canada doesn't even allow U.S. banks to open or do business there. What's that all about? Many such things, but it's also a drug war. And hundreds of thousands of people have unalived in the U.S. from drugs pouring through the borders of Mexico and Canada. Just spoke to Trudeau. We'll be speaking to him again at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Make America stupid again! MAGA 2020, whatever.
Steve, the voice changer gets me every time.
I mean, seriously though, it's perfect for him.
It is. It's very on the nose.
So does Canada allow U.S. to open banks there? I think there's U.S. banks in Canada, isn't there? I don't know.
There's a few, but most of our institutions are our own. They're Canadian.
And it's funny because there was a border incident at the so I live, as the crow flies, 29 miles from the Canadian border, and there was an incident at a border crossing where a state trooper, border security person lost their life. So Kristi Noem showed up in northern Vermont like over the weekend or last week. And she did a little presser up there. I'm sorry?
I said hide your dogs.
Seriously, no shit. My gosh, I didn't even think about that. And there was a little presser up there, and she's talking about how the northern border with Canada has been unsecured for so long. And I'm like, yeah, because it's like 4 times longer than the border with Mexico. And like, we don't care. We don't hassle each other, right? Like I fish in your boundary waters. I've talked to you about that. Like, and now your country is the enemy, my guy. Like, what the fuck?
I mean,
It's
hell, it
crazy.
used to be we'd take where I used to live. We would pack up the car and head down to Buffalo for the weekend.
Right.
Now that's
Right.
not so much an option. You know,
No.
I got some comments over the weekend on some of my social media pages. The anti-Canadian rhetoric it's not been like loud because we've gotten a majority of like love and support, but there have been those spouting the anti-Canadian rhetoric. I had one guy coming up into my comments saying, "Oh, we're going to roll up our tanks and we're going to give the pew pew to your citizens." And I had to be savage because I'm at that point now where I'm like, listen, America's not going to come up and pew pew Canada because America is too busy giving the pew pew to your schools and your school children to fucking afford that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like, make it make sense, my guy. Fuck.
It doesn't make sense, man. That's the problem. I mean, we're in this hellscape and we're in it together. And I love your country and I love your citizens, except for Alberta. But
Alberta's not sending their best. We got to be honest. They're not sending their best right now. Steve, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I said what I had to say.
Thank you, buddy.
Buddy, keep your stick on the ice. You know, hang in there. Keep doing what you're doing. Much love. Stay hydrated. Take care, guys.
Thanks, pal. See you later. We love Benny. We just read Chuck Grassley's post begging and pleading that they don't tax and tariff potash, right? So that's going to harm Iowa farmers. This is from Susan Collins. The Maine economy is integrated with Canada, our most important trading partner. Certain tariffs will impose a significant burden on many families, manufacturers, the forest products industry, small businesses, lobstermen, and agricultural producers. For example, 95% of the heating oil used by most Mainers to heat their homes comes from refineries in, wait for it, Canada. The Air National Guard base in Bangor, we have a lot of fun with that, depends completely on jet fuel and diesel fuel from, wait for it, Canada. From fisheries to potato farmers to paper mills, these tariffs will have a significant impact on Maine's economy and risk increasing costs for our residents. I'm working with the Trump administration to help its officials better understand the potential ramifications of certain tariffs on Maine and to find out more about their implementation, scope, duration, and other important information, including any exemptions they may make for northern border states, certain industries, agricultural producers, and others who rely on trade with Canada. Susan Collins, Republican from Maine, who was said she was an advocate for women's rights, voted to confirm Supreme Court justices, including Amy Boney Carrot, a handmaiden, and will likely support Trump nominees and will likely support the agenda. Here's the thought, Susan. I'm going to call you Sue. Here's the thought, Sue. Why don't you stand up to President Trump by not voting to confirm one of his nominees? How about that? Maybe send a message. Maybe send a message to say, you know what? And you too, Chuck Grassley, and everybody else, all you other Republican senators that are on border states with Canada or Mexico, and you know that your economy is going to be harmed by these tariffs, and you know the people that you're supposed to fucking represent are going to be harmed. Why don't you send a message and say, I'm not voting for your nominees? This is bullshit. My people are going to be harmed. I'm not going to vote for the insurrectionist supporter, chorus singer Kash Patel, who literally lied at every turn during his hearing, or Tulsi Gabbard, who was on a TSA watch list. You guys, did you know that? Tulsi Gabbard, the nominee to be the director of national intelligence, right, was on a TSA watch list, okay? Because of her trips to Syria, to Russia, and to other unfriendly nations, okay? Vote against her nomination. Do that. Vote against RFK's nomination. Do that. You know what, though? They won't. They won't do it. So you send a message in your little safe space. Please, President Trump, don't do this. You're going to cripple industries. These are the industries affected again in Maine, okay? So Maine, by the way, is really red in the north. So it's like potato country up there. It's got the biggest border. Maine is the only U.S. state that only has one state as a border. They border New Hampshire, and then the rest is Canada, right? It's a massive border with Canada. These are the industries affected. Manufacturing, forest products, small business, lobstermen, and agriculture producers. So it's going to be a hell of a lot more expensive to get there from here if these tariffs go through. Okay? Maine voters in northern Canada, because that's where the lumber industry is, that's where the forest product industry is, that's where the lobstermen are, that's where the agricultural producers are. They're all in northern Maine, which is all red. All those Trump voters are about to be impacted. So this is what you get, right? Fuck around and find out. Everybody, please keep tapping. Please, again, consider subscribing to our brand new hub. Traveling Mom, how are you today?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Well, I was listening to, what was his name? The one before. Was it Benny? Just before.
Yeah, Benny from our friend in Canada.
Canadian.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, neighbor. I'm sorry. I'll apologize on behalf of those of us who give a shit.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was agreeing a lot, just wanted to agree a lot with what he says. It's what's going on is really uniting Canada. There's more like I'm a Canadian type songs going on. It's just pulling people together. I was listening to someone this morning, and he was talking about how much we ship to the U.S., which is 66%, and how there are already other countries coming to us for our things like potash, minerals, for us to sell to them.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's gonna change the entire scope of global trading. These kinds of things.
Oh yes.
At the detriment to American consumers, and at the detriment to our nearest trading partners and our most trusted trading partners, Canada and Mexico.
Yeah.
And they're all going to suffer, right? And to what end? It's to enrich billionaires. Let's be real.
Oh, exactly. Yep. And just last week, sometime within the last week, Canada signed a deal with Greenland. And I thought this was kind of funny. But it's one of our islands, Ellesmere Island, is up next to the top of Greenland. And Canada and Greenland have signed a land deal. I can't remember what for, but there was a deal. And I was thinking how much Trump wants Greenland, and here we're just able to get a deal with them.
Yeah, I something tells me that there will be something that will happen there. Maybe it becomes leasing to domestic energy producers or some type of negotiation there because. Money talks at the end of the day, right? Money talks.
Yes, unfortunately, but Trump has really turned the world against the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not that we weren't despised previously, but I thought there was 4 years of attempting to repair the relationship. But it's funny because we were hosting a French exchange student that she's flying back today. So sweet, and it was just so great to have her here. And her questions were about. She expected literally everybody to be walking down the street strapping, with a firearm on their side. They thought that she thought that they were just the differences between the perception that the rest of the world has, thinking that everybody's a Trump voter because the media that they see is heavy influence. And we tried to explain to her that, first of all, you're lucky to come to Vermont. It's not a true representation of the rest of the country where we have a Republican governor that has stood up against Trump on many occasions. We have Democrats in Congress. We have progressives. The biggest party that represents our state in our state house is the Progressive Party. We are the number 2 behind Oregon for protecting women's rights to their body. So I was telling her, I'm like, you're lucky to come here. You could have gone to Alabama. You could have gone to Texas. Yeah. You could have gone to Ohio. But I don't blame Canadians for not trusting the U.S. anymore.
No, I live in New Brunswick, right next to the state of Maine, and I haven't been in the U.S. in 10 years. I'm too nervous because of the gun laws over there, where you see people wearing guns walking around Walmart, let's say, and that's not something we see over here. Like people don't walk around. We don't have school shootings.
No, you don't.
No, so it's, I'm just nervous to go over there. I mean, I have family there. My sister lives there, but she understands and she comes here to see me. I won't go there. And
I don't blame her and I don't blame you.
Yeah. And I grew up on the border. My dad was a custom officer. And back then, the Canada Customs supplied housing to their officers. So we lived right on the border. I walk across the road and I would be in the U.S. That's how close I was.
Yeah.
And it's changed. It used to be, I could get on my bike and just ride across the border. Didn't even have to stop to report or anything. They knew who I was. Wouldn't do it now.
Nope. That's for sure. Thanks for jumping in today, Canadian
Not a
Native.
problem.
I
Can you
appreciate
drop me? Because I can't have yet to figure out how to do it.
I got you. Have a great day. See you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So the Dow opened and fell sharply 540 points or 1.2%. The S&P dropped 1.5%, and the NASDAQ composite dropped 2%. Tech stocks falling more than 2% in general. Let's see. I'll keep my eye on this over the course of the day today because we're going to be watching that. They're expecting a lot of hemorrhaging on Wall Street. Again, though, those people with money are betting for that. They are hedging. They want the stock market to crash. They make more money off of that. Sadly, that's the reality of what we live in. That's what money does. Yeah. Shadow, good morning. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm all right. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, this is going to be awful. This is just going to be completely awful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, one thing, I agree with 100% of everything that's being said here about the tariffs and stuff, and I've been harping on this for months as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I even said in a couple of lives that, I'm not sure if I said it here, but in a couple other lives, I even said the red states are going to get hit the worst.
They are. And
we're seeing that now, especially with the targeted tariffs on red states. But I don't want to dampen the mood here, but we also have to hold Democrats in swing states responsible. We had Raphael Warnock, for example, who said, let's find a solution to work together. They're finding out there's no working with this administration. And he voted for that immigration bill that Trump wanted in the Senate.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I think I'm hoping that during this time, American voters will become more educated as to understand why oftentimes legislation gets, like the TikTok ban is a perfect example. Okay. It's a perfect example. There was humanitarian aid in that bill, right? So if it didn't get voted on, humanitarian aid for Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, and other places would not have been authorized. I'm not using that as an excuse. I don't want Democrats to vote with any Republican bill. I don't give a fuck. I really, at this point, I don't even care if it's going to help people. Let's not give them a win. Let's just not give them a win. We can't. To your point, we have got to hold our own party, so to speak, accountable because they're responsible too.
Yeah, because they won. The people who were senators and House members, they won the Democrat vote for a reason. And now the swing states are being wishy-washy. And it's like, get a backbone and let's try to stop this from happening.
Correct. It's going to get really bad, folks. I think people need to buckle up for that. I know you're starting to see more people talking about prepping. I think we prepare for the worst and be happy if it doesn't go that bad. I think when you see senators on border states, even though Iowa doesn't border Canada, but they depend on Canada and Maine and then others saying the same thing, how this is going to be massively impactful. I think it's Michigan and Wisconsin maybe, and even New York, who get so much of their energy from Canada, right? It's crucial that their voters, again, don't forget about swing state voters, Republican voters, Trump voters in those states are going to be harmed by this. And that's what they voted for.
And one other thing, I've been telling people on the other side that, tariffs will be great. They'll replace taxes and blah, 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 and I told them, countries have the option not to go with that and go another route. And that's what other countries are doing right now. They're trying to find other trade routes to avoid these things.
Yeah, exactly. Another example is that Trump fired the director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? So what that agency does, it protects it protects consumers from bogus charges on credit cards and things like that, erroneous bank fees. They are literally there to protect consumers. Why would you fire someone in that position without a replacement?
I don't know.
To benefit corporations. Is everybody getting that yet? I mean, I know everybody that tunes into me every day for the most part gets it, but is everybody understanding that? We've been telling you this for so long that this is not a right-left, this is a top-down. This is class war in our country. The oligarchs are enriching themselves. I forget the stat specifically, but I think it's since 2010, maybe 2020. I think it's 2010. That CEO salaries have increased on an average of 1,500% in that time. 1,500%.
And before I go, let me leave with this. If anyone wants to know what a completely controlled supermajority of Republicans and their state House and Senate, I know there are other ones in this state, take a look at West Virginia and how awful West Virginia has become in the last 20 years economically.
It's the worst in every major category. It's the worst.
And then we got Morrissey going. We got Morrissey, the new governor, going along with Trump's stuff. And then Jim Justice, who said, "Oh, well, I'm a billionaire." He's actually flat broke, according to Forbes.
Anyway, keep the fight, Shadow. Keep the fight. Thanks for being here, buddy. Talk to you later.
Thanks.
All right, bye. Everybody, please keep tapping. Appreciate you guys very much. Good morning, Hill. How are you today?
Hey, Steve, I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. What's on your mind?
I hear that. There's a lot of wild shit.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild. I wanted to come up really quick. I know it's not like the least of our worries. It may not be as important as other things, but I did want to talk about the alcohol tariff really quick. Only because my folks have owned a liquor store in New Mexico for over 40 years, and I've worked there for a long time. And
it's real for you. It's absolutely important because it's real for you.
It is. It's real for us. And I think what maybe a lot of people may not realize is it's not just like the Tennessee whiskey and some of like the major brands that you hear. A lot of these whiskeys and different alcohols are bottled at different distilleries throughout the country, but they're under like one umbrella. So like Sazerac whiskeys, for example, they also bottle all of the 99s, the Yukon Jacks, the different tequilas, several different vodkas. And Crown actually comes from it is a Canadian blend, right? So there's different forms of whiskey that are bottled in different places. So like you can look at Brown and Forman, which is Jim Beam. You can look at Suntory, which is a Japanese whiskey bottler, but a lot of them are bottled here. Like they ship their barrels here and we bottle them here. So I'm wondering how, I'd like to see how that unfolds for just as far as the tariffs are going to go. I anticipate tequilas going up as well. And Sazerac is a huge brand, and it's they produce a lot of different alcohols. And so, and I agree. You had a guest up here a minute ago who talked about whether the item is tariffed or not. That will likely see an increase, and I think they're going to have to figure out their bottom line somehow. So, the corporations are gonna corporate. You know what I mean? Like they have to hit their bottom line, and I think it's going to hit a lot of people. And so, and I mean, there's plenty of other things that are affecting me personally as well. But this is our livelihood. We're the only locally owned and locally operated store left in our town. There's lots of other stores, don't get me wrong, but like a mile down the road is Total Wine, and we've lost a lot of business from Total Wine. A lot of beer is going to be affected by this as well, and I'm a member of the LGBTQIA community, so there's a lot of bullshit out there hitting me personally on that too. So it's a wild situation. Like I said, it's a lot of information. We've been flooded with a lot of information and a lot of bullshit, and I feel a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, your numerous examples of how this is personal for you. Your family business, the community that you're a member of. This is real, right? It's not. Again, I sit at the pinnacle of privilege in America, and everybody gets harmed, except for me for the most part. And now even members of my community that I don't like to associate with is being harmed as well. So people are finally feeling the effects, but it's always going to trickle down to the communities that have been marginalized from the beginning.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
I'm
I
sorry.
mean, I appreciate that. Thank you. And one of the things that I've learned by watching different lives and different creators and yours as well, a lot. I'm here pretty much every morning. I don't chirp a lot because I'm getting ready for work and the kids ready for work for
Thank
school
you.
and all that stuff. But in coming to these lives, like I've realized how influenced I've been by the patriarchy. You know what I mean? I'm of Hispanic descent.
Hmm.
My, you know, I'm like 65% Spanish and Portuguese, and then I have like 18% indigenous. I'm from New Mexico, and if you look at like the history of New Mexico, like the Spanish came through Mexico, raped and pillaged their. I'm sorry, I probably can't say that word. Raped
Okay.
and pillaged their way through Mexico, and then entered into the indigenous lands of what is now New Mexico. And so, like, we're very mixed culture here. But like I realize I'm also white presenting, so I realize that I've learned that I have a little bit of white privilege, even though I'm part of a marginalized group. I grew up in a patriarchal family of people who grew up in a patriarchal family, and it was just passed down generations. So I've realized a lot of things that I benefit from, and then I've also been a part of a lot of things that I don't obviously benefit from. But
Right.
I've learned so much in watching. I've gotten to see a little bit of my internal misogyny,
Hmm.
my inherent racism that I
Hmm.
didn't even know that I had. Like it's wild. I've learned so much, and it's been because of you and a lot of other creators that talk about shit that a lot of people don't talk about.
Hmm.
So I'm in here for the fight. I know that there is a protest going on in Washington D.C. tomorrow in front of the Treasury. I heard about that this morning.
Yeah, and then a
And
50
then
state protest in every capital on Wednesday. All 50
yep,
states, people are being asked to
I'll,
rally at their capitals on Wednesday on the 5th. Yeah,
I'll be there. I live in the capital city of New Mexico. I live in Santa Fe,
love
so
Santa
I'll
Fe.
be there.
Love
If
Santa Fe. One of the most
Yeah,
beautiful
if you're
places I've
ever
ever
in
been in
Santa
my
Fe,
life. I love
come
it.
come to our liquor store. I'll buy you a drink. I mean,
Thank
and,
you.
and here's the thing: is I've been clean and sober for 17 years, so I work in a liquor store and I don't
Congratulations.
drink. Thank you.
Congratulations.
That's the only reason my parents let me work there is because I don't drink. They bought it when I was 14, and I thought it was the greatest day of my life, and it turned
Ha.
out to be an absolute disaster. But
Well, we all learn, we all grow, right, Hill?
yeah,
That's
we
the
do
whole
indeed.
point.
But I appreciate you guys, and I'll keep listening. I hope everyone just hangs in there. I'm not going to say it's going to be okay because it definitely doesn't feel okay, but we do have to continue to fight no matter what.
I appreciate you for being here. Thank you for your support as always. You have a good day, okay?
Appreciate you, Steve. Have a good one.
All right. You too. Bye. The Dow has just crossed down 560 points. We'll continue to track that. Excuse me. Alibi, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. I just wanted to say something about the order of these events. I don't understand why one of his first actions was to go after my insulin cap.
I do.
Can you explain it to me?
Because the legislation that was passed by the Biden administration under the Inflation Reduction Act, which capped insulin along with the dozens of other drugs so that seniors would not pay money out of pocket more than $2,000 annually, is because Joe Biden's name's on it and because those caps affected the bottom line and the profits of the people that support Trump. It's all about money.
Okay. Now, here's the one thing that gives me hope in this situation, strangely enough. So he started going after immigrants. Then he went after Black History Month and other minority people.
Yep.
I've heard that gay marriage is coming up on the block. Surely the people that are Republicans underneath them understand if they go after every group and hurt all of us, they will lose their positions and they will not go along with this man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that something to hope for? Is it possible?
Well, I mean, I think that hope for. Interesting question. So the two examples that we read this morning are hardcore traditional conservative Republicans, if that even exists anymore in Congress. Chuck Grassley from Iowa and Susan Collins from Maine, both basically pleading with Trump not to, or to exclude certain things from these tariffs imposed against Canada because of the impact it will have on their voters. Mm-hmm. Susan Collins in particular, who represents the state of Maine. So those of you who have never been to Maine, southern Maine is very blue. It's Portland. It's the corridor down to New Hampshire. Very, very blue. And then northern Maine is very, very red. And the majority of those industries that will be affected are dominated by Trump voters. So she's making a plea to say, well, the people that voted for you in my state are going to be harmed by this. So to answer your question, it's going to take more people like that. But just sending a tweet is not going to be enough. They need to actually stand up. An example would be not voting to confirm his nominees. That would be a way to do it. You have to send a message to say, this is ridiculous. People in Congress, those that are in Trump districts, are afraid of being primaried. Once you get the taste of power, you don't want to give it up. So it's going to take some courage for members of the Republican Party. I've yet to see it, to be honest. Although there was one example of the acting director of the FBI said that he was not going to fire prosecutors that were involved in J6. That's a good move.
Right.
But it's going to take more of that.
Yeah, it's probably going to take a whole lot more of that.
It is.
It's craziness. This doesn't even seem like it's real. I've been watching West Wing to try to regain my sanity.
That's a great example. I mean, I think, that show was so unbelievably good, first of all, but it talked about a lot of things that we're seeing today, right? About how important it is to have these, to have competency in government. And, it's just, it's scary.
You want the best of us, not the worst.
You want the best. I agree.
Smart.
Thanks for jumping in today, friend. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It is, February is Black History Month, and I don't know if you know this, but the Defense Intelligence Agency ordered a pause of all activities and events related to MLK Jr. Day, Black History Month, Juneteenth, LGBTQ Pride Month, Holocaust Remembrance Day, and other, quote, special observances to comply with President Trump's executive order, according to a memo. The memo listed 11 observances that are now banned. It also said that all affinity groups and, quote, employee networking groups are immediately on pause. The directive comes as the Trump administration has made it a top priority to go after any programs perceived to be related to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in the federal government. Yeah. So the federal government, the Defense Intelligence Agency ordered a pause. All activities and events related to MLK Jr. Day, Black History Month, Juneteenth, LGBTQ Pride, Holocaust Remembrance Day, and other special observances. Why would you do that unless you're racist bigots? Oh, that's because they're racist bigots. Nice, right? Really nice. That's reporting from Politico. That's reporting from NBC, CBS. It's, again, you can just, if you want to search for the data, you can just search for the Defense Intelligence Agency and their bans on those special events. Hi, Moth.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. Question is, how are you?
That's about all I've got. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of really scary shit happening right now, and it's really been hitting me pretty hard lately with everything going on. The State Department removing any mentions of transgender and queer Americans and trying to erase Pride Month and everything else. I was already kind of in the mindset of, am I going to have to be stealth in order to be safe? Am I going to have to detransition in order to be safe? On top of already kind of question my identity again, because that's just the way my journey works. Which I just realized that I'm non-binary, so I'm coming out again.
Well, there you go. Every day, Moth.
Such a bad time for it, though. Such a bad time for it. No, I figured I'd hop up and do some mod announcements if you needed.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Of course. All right, folks. So there are 1,000 of us in here. We are at 240K for likes. Let's go ahead and get that up. We can definitely get up to 250, no doubt, but I would like to see us up to 300K if we could. Obviously, I mean, the higher the better, but let's at least get up to 300K. We're just shy of 500 shares, so go ahead, hit that, if you hit that arrow down there, you can hit the copy link button. That counts as a share. Also, you can definitely share it out to any family, friends. You don't have any of those, definitely send it out to any Trump supporters. You know, get it out there. Let's get some people in here. Let's have some conversations. If you hit that heart button next to Steve's name up there at the top, you can join our team. All of these things help push us out to the FYP. And then also, if you go to our new website, you can, the FactsStillMatter.site, you can check out all of our merch. We have some really amazing merch. Did you say we had some new stuff up there, Steve?
We do. It's this one right here. It is in Morse code. It says "fuck Trump."
There it is.
So everybody should go grab that one and just wear it everywhere. Go to like your favorite MAGA community and just walk in and wear that and just put a wry smile on your face. That's available in the merch store, and subscribers get 10% off on that.
I'm going to ask you a couple things. One, does that come in black?
Well, we have to change the code because it didn't display. Right. But yes, it will come in black, and we'll put that in. We'll put the lettering in white.
Also, I know you're not wearing it today, but I am going to ask anyways. Are you Zen today, Steve?
I am fucking Zen, Moth. I am fucking Zen. That's also a shirt that's available in our merch store. It's the number one seller, by the way, by a long shot. That's our number one seller.
Yeah. And then also while you're on the site, you can subscribe that way because I think subscriptions on TikTok are still a little messed up.
Yep.
Yeah. I have heard some people say, though, that they are able to recharge their coins through the app now. I was able to, so I don't know. I don't know if it's working for everybody, but you can certainly try. But yeah, you can subscribe through our website for, what is it, like $3 a month, and you can get a certain percentage off if you do an annual subscription.
15% off for an annual subscription, $3 a month. It's the lowest price we can charge. So
yeah, but it's a great price. You get so many benefits. You get a discount in the merch store. You get access to sub-only events, both here and in Discord. Speaking of which, you should definitely join the Discord. You don't have to be a subscriber to join, but it definitely has its perks if you are. So if you go to Steve's bio, you can find the link to our Discord. Mm-hmm. Amazing place to be. You will find such an amazing community. We really look out for our own. We take care of each other over there.
We do. Try.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's a great place to be overall.
I agree.
So,
before you leave, I just want to see if I fix my audio. Let's see if we can hear this. If everybody can hear it, okay? So I have a couple of things I want to play on this topic. Can you hear that?
So Shannon,
just barely.
Barely? What's going on? I wonder what that is. Anyway, I'll worry about it later. But anyway, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, I just thought maybe we were having tech time with Steve.
Yeah, no, we don't want that.
No, we need Jess up here for that.
Yeah, we don't want that for sure.
Did you check your dongle?
My dongle is fine. Thank you very much for asking. I appreciate that. My dongle is in excellent shape. Excellent shape.
Hey now.
Inside joke. Hey now. That's right.
Melly is in the comments telling Jess to come fix it.
Jess has got her problems with her own. She's got to worry about her own dongle before she should be worrying about mine.
Oh man, that's the laugh I needed today. Thank you.
My pleasure. It's always a good pleasure to talk to you, my friend. I appreciate you very much. Would you like
All
your
right.
exit?
Well, I guess I'll do a wee.
So what I wanted to play, and I'll fix this again, is that the new Secretary of Transportation, Duffy, basically went out over the weekend and made a claim that the term cockpit being changed to flight deck was something that was initiated by the Biden administration, basically forcing that to happen, when in fact it was the largest pilots union in America that decided to do it. Why? To be more inclusive. Yeah. So more gaslighting. It is both. I know it's referred to as a cockpit or it's referred to as a flight deck, but I often hear whenever I fly, and I haven't flown a lot recently, I'll be flying coming up soon. Good morning from the flight deck, right? So once again, another assault on people's just basic, I don't know. Anyway, special guest. Hey, good morning, Rollo. How you doing, my friend?
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm all right, buddy. What's going on? What's your focus these days?
My focus is to survive the next 4 years and help my clients do the same. A lot of horrible things happening in the immigration world. We had the Laken Riley Act that was passed. Shame on Democrats for endorsing and signing on to that horrible act.
I agree.
And then we have all the executive orders and memos coming down from the Trump administration. Pretty much nobody is safe at this point. It used to be that if you did things the right way, like the Republicans wanted us to do it, wanted people to do, that you would be okay, right? If you filed your asylum application, if you stayed out of trouble, you go through your due process and then you'll be okay. At this point, people who have entered, even lawfully through the CBP-1 application, through humanitarian parole, all of that has been canceled and deemed unlawful entries by the Trump administration. And now he expanded people who are high priority. It used to be as long as you did those things, you would be safe, but no longer. So now pretty much anyone can be picked up and put in removal proceedings or called expedited removals without the right to see an immigration judge to adjudicate your asylum claim. And so the directive is that if you've been here less than 2 years, then you're subject to expedited removals. But I have received calls that even people who have been here for over 2 years have filed their asylum application. They have in their possessions their work permits and social security cards are still being picked up and expeditiously removed without seeing an immigration judge and without given the opportunity to see an attorney. So there's a lot of disgusting things happening right now, to where most attorneys right now, we have no idea how to counsel our clients.
Rollo, what's your understanding on Guantanamo Bay? So I'm trying to, from my perspective, what I've read is that it's basically going to turn into a concentration camp, but I don't understand the purpose if the plan is to deport.
Well, we heard it from the lion's mouth. Trump said that he was going to supposedly put in the most vile of undocumented people there, the ones that the U.S. doesn't want released into the countries because they don't trust the countries to handle them. I have no idea who he is talking about.
I don't either.
Because at this point, with that rhetoric, that is just a justification for him to do whatever he wants to do. But what's really going to end up happening is he's going to have a concentration camps for people who maybe entered unlawfully and now everything is unlawful entries, and people who, I don't know, I don't know what kind of crimes would qualify as heinous for the Republicans, because they think that entering the border unlawfully is bad.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've heard women.
So-
I've heard women and children as well. Like I've heard that is potentially, and it's hard to know. And I know that we've talked about this many times. It's you have to pay attention to what they say, right? And then there's these little dog whistles here and there about things. I mean, I think Guantanamo Bay has a capacity of like 800 prisoners, and they're talking about numbers like 25, 30,000 people put there.
Yeah, 30,000. I mean, it was going to be like 10 cities and pretty much concentration camps.
Exactly. And then I mentioned this earlier, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, but I believe when he's using the words invasion, it's an attempt to justify ignoring birthright citizenship. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that, and also putting the Marines and special forces at the border, right? Because supposedly we're getting invaded. I don't know by whom or what his definition of invasion is.
So he used invasion like 19 times in that one speech. I talked about this earlier. So you can justify denying someone's rights to citizenship, claiming that their parents were here unlawfully and or were invaders, right? So therefore, since they were invaders, they can't claim any rights to birthright citizenship. That seems to be the argument.
Yeah, I think so. Which, I mean, the whole birthright citizenship argument is silly because they're basing it off of, being under the jurisdiction of the United States. And they're saying that undocumented people are not under the jurisdiction of the U.S. But if you know any of the basics of the law, if you don't have jurisdiction over a person or, a lawsuit or something, then you can't detain people, you can't prosecute them, you can't do anything because you have no jurisdiction, right? So essentially, with that argument, Trump wants to grant immunity, diplomatic immunity to all people who are here undocumented, meaning that ICE, CBP, the police, local police, sheriffs, they wouldn't have jurisdiction, or at least federal government, wouldn't have jurisdiction over undocumented people because they're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States.
That's a really good point. So the claim is that they're not subject to the laws of our nation, therefore they haven't committed crimes. Right?
Well, if you look at the 14th Amendment, it excluded diplomats because diplomats are objectively not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States because they're under the jurisdiction of their home countries. And in order to prosecute them, you have to have permission from their home countries if they have committed a crime here. And most of the time they have diplomatic immunity. Everybody knows what that is because they're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. That's what gives them that diplomatic immunity. So when Trump is pushing this based on that phrase, not subject to the jurisdiction thereof, he's basically granting diplomatic immunity. And if any person who understands the law, then that means that CBP does not have jurisdiction to detain, prosecute, or anything people who are coming into the country, nor does ICE, right? Because they're not subject to the jurisdiction. They can't be sued in any civil courts because there's no jurisdiction. Anyone who who practice civil law, that when you're getting sued, the first thing you want to fight is jurisdiction. If you claim that the state that you're under doesn't have jurisdiction over you, you can get that case dismissed, right? So if they commit some civil offenses here, or they get sued because they have to pay some money back, then all they have to do is, hey, there's no jurisdiction over me, therefore this thing, gets tossed out. So I don't understand their argument because in their effort to try to take away birthright citizenship to the children of undocumented people, they basically give up jurisdiction over undocumented people. Therefore, you can come in and out and they can't touch you because you're immune. You have immunity. That's how I would see it.
Can you, we've talked about this before, and I want to make sure I'm providing accurate information. Just people I don't know if people in general know their rights when it comes to, an ICE knock on the door, for example. Would you mind just taking people that are listening that have members of people who may be under threat in their communities, what they should do or shouldn't
Oh, you
do?
mean you want me to like show people how to skirt the law according to Tom Hallman? I don't know if you heard what he said.
I did. Yeah, I mean, I'm yeah. Your best advice. Your best advice, my friend. Your best
Yeah,
advice.
no, absolutely. Regardless of whether you're here legally or not, you have absolutely constitutional rights. You have the right to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment. So if the CBP comes and asks you questions, you have to assert your Fifth Amendment right. You don't just remain silent, as in don't say anything, because then that raises suspicion, right? So you have to articulate, say, hey, if they ask you like for your papers, then you don't have to answer any of the questions that would lead to that. So you have to assertively say, I have the right to remain silent and I don't answer any questions, right? And then you have the right against self-incrimination, that's the Fifth Amendment, and against unreasonable searches and seizures. So if they come to your house, you don't have to open the door. I would recommend that you don't open the door because the ICE detainers that they have are not valid warrants that are signed by a judge. They are particular with time and date of what they're looking for, but they have to be signed by a judge. When they have an ICE detainer, those are not signed by judges. Those are signed by, the local ICE officer or CBP.
Would that also be known as an administrative warrant, Rollo? A non-binding, it's administrative and not a judicial warrant, not one signed by a judge.
I guess it could be that. I do like immigration, and we just see it as ICE detainers or 212, 212 detainers. 247 detainers.
Okay.
Basically, it is kind of a detention order for the person who they're looking for, but it's not a warrant. So they can't go into homes, they can't go into businesses, they can't go into any of that without the consent, of the person. So that's why you hear a lot of stories of ICE kind of lurking around, the home or the schools or the workplaces of the people that they're looking for. And then when they're either on their way in or out, that's when they catch them, when they're in public, right? Okay. So you have to be careful with that. And that's why if they do come to your home knocking and then, asking to come in, that should tell you that they don't have the authority to come in because they don't have warrants, right? So you have the right to remain silent. You don't have to let them into your homes. You don't have to let them into, searching your person. And there is a lot of information at the ACLU website in Spanish, and it's very accurate on how to assert your rights. So yeah, there's videos on YouTube too that are produced. That would be essential for people to know.
That's good advice, my friend. I appreciate that. Keep us posted. Is there anything else that you'd like to discuss?
Just be careful, everyone. People who are here undocumented, just be really careful. Stay out of trouble. No drinking and driving. No domestic violence are the most popular situations that get you in trouble. And have an attorney ready. Have a plan ready in case of anything happening. And just, I feel for my community. I am angry. I am sad. I am disappointed, especially in the people that I would expect better of, like the Democrats.
Agreed.
To like partner up with the Republicans just to harm the immigrant community. And that disgusts me. But yeah.
I agree, brother. Thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you, buddy.
All right, my friend. Thank you for letting me up.
You got it. Stay safe out there. Appreciate you, Rollo.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm with him. I'm with him. We're tracking the stock market. The Dow is down 318 points. S&P is down 68. NASDAQ's down 303. That's a big hit to NASDAQ. So we'll be tracking that all day. Again, gas prices have maintained $3.10. That's up slightly. And egg prices are skyrocketing. So there's that. Everybody, please continue to like and share the live. We appreciate you guys being here. I haven't seen Obi in a bit. Please consider subscribing. I do have another mention. Thank you to KT for subscribing. Thank you to HGR Mom 98 for subscribing. I appreciate you very, very much. And thank you to Nancy Nancy for your donation on Cash App. Thanks for the great work, Steve. You're welcome, Nancy. I appreciate you. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Greetings and salutations.
Lovely. Welcome.
Gas is currently up 20 cents a gallon for regular in Los Angeles County and upwards of 35 cents depending upon the neighborhood you live in.
Yeah.
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 Eggs,
all that
course.
winning, right, Obi?
Yeah. Yeah. Eggs are up, but not as bad in California. We just happen to have more chickens than anybody else.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, we have farmers markets. So if you want to really do something, go to the local farmers market if you have one, if you're lucky enough to have one, and buy eggs because the price of eggs is now the same for the local farmer as it is for the grocery store. So if you're going to spend that money, you might as well spend it with a local person and help them out and help them grow their business, right?
Buy local.
And honestly, the eggs are better. So
they sure are. And you know that, and I've been watching some people do some videos over the weekend about other locations around the world that have eggs, and they don't refrigerate their eggs. We do. The reason that a lot of other places don't refrigerate their eggs is because they don't wash the shell, because there's already a layer on the shell that protects the inside. And in Americans, we wash that, which then means they have to be refrigerated, which reduces shelf life. So there you go. Yeah.
Sorry, I lost you.
That's okay. You back?
Yes, I'm back.
Yep. Yeah. It's the protective coating, the natural protective coating.
Yeah. Also, people do a technique called glassing, where they store eggs in a large pickle jar, like one you would see at a counter in an old country store. And you can glass eggs, I think, for up to 6 months.
Yeah, the pickled eggs and like the pickled sausages that you used to see.
You don't have to pickle them. You can leave them in their shell, and then there's a mixture that you put in with them. So like in a solution, and it keeps the egg in the shell fresh for about 6 months.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Yeah,
friends, we're still tracking. Go ahead. Sorry.
You're still tracking the market.
Yep, still tracking the market. It's going to be an interesting day. There's estimates that the Dow could lose 1,000 points today or more. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so worried about this. I see this as a correction, right? And these corrections are cyclical. So we always see massive corrections at the beginning of every presidential term, because this is how people who have been shorting get to then buy stuff at a lower price, right? So you already made that comment earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
We should expect this. Now, once the tariffs but listen, the markets are not for the average American, because the average American doesn't know how to trade or invest. And if you come at me saying you're a day trader, I'm going to laugh in your face. So don't do that. Because
yeah, I mean, I think the point is these are self-inflicted, rises and falls. We know the industries that are impacted. We've seen, Republicans in the Senate in particular come out and say, "Oh, please, sir, don't do this, sir. You're going to harm us, sir." Bending a knee. reminding them that their constituents, the people that voted for them, the people that they are responsible to, are going to be impacted. And that's the hard part.
Well, given that they didn't learn in his first 4 years, I highly doubt a single GOP member of Congress or a MAGA fight who believes that America First is going to happen will still understand as they suffer that this is of their own doing. You know, it's just, my dad says this all the time, and I never got it when I was a kid. You can't fix stupid.
No, you can't.
Right? And for the vast majority of these people, they're just simply stupid. And listen, that's not an insult. It is of their own making. The willful ignorance is a self-inflicted wound that they suffer from. There's nothing that we can do to help it because you cannot fix stupid. If you are willing to believe that doing the same thing over and over again will produce a different result, well, you must not read an awful lot, right? Because that's the definition of insanity.
Exactly.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. You owe me a Coke.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Well, I mean, I think here's the problem, right? I'm not even gonna say it's a problem. It's just the obvious. You know, this is what we're seeing now is the pivot from the right, because the distraction that they now want to use is to get their base focused on DEI, for them to cheer. Yes. Like literally, you know, the new Secretary of Transportation goes out publicly and says, well, all this bullshit DEI stuff, so much that we can't even call a cockpit anymore, blaming Pete Buttigieg and the Biden administration when it was the largest union of airline pilots that wanted to make that change. So all these things, all the DEI this, DEI that. And as a reminder, I took people through the lesson as to what DEI actually is and how it works in corporate America. And so that they cannot be focused on what the tariffs are going to do to them. They need something else to talk about. They need something else. They need something else to talk about when it comes to U.S. aid, denying that. Yeah. They need something else to talk about when they gave Elon Musk the keys to the treasury. Shit like that. Which is going to be, which is so unbelievably harmful. People don't even know.
Yeah, people don't get it. By the way, DEI, according to rumors on 4chan, is bringing back the metric system to the United States.
Is bringing back what?
The metric system.
Yeah, right. By the way, friends, just a little inside baseball. I shared with my brother Obi over the weekend this crazy guy on Instagram solving the problem for the depth of a hole, and it might have been the greatest gift I could have ever given my friend Obi.
Wax on, wax off.
Exactly. I knew you would like that. Like, oh, he's going to love this.
That was, first of all, people should watch it because he's correct, right? Even with his assumptions, right? Like the math is correct.
Out of context. Let's not go there. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, listen. California is still accepting applications, although there are some states in which we may not accept people. Iowa and Ohio are debatable.
Okay.
We may not be able to extend grace just because of the people you consistently elect to be governors and or senators, especially those of you from Iowa.
Yeah.
How old is he now? Mr. Grassley.
Chuck Grassley, 91.
Is it 482? I do believe he has biblical age, right?
91. Yes.
Is he is now the oldest person?
When he first started taking notes when he joined Congress, he used a tablet. Not a tablet with a hammer.
With a chisel?
Correct. Yeah, he's 91.
He probably had an abacus also.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
He told time with a sundial.
Now, how many people could actually do that today?
Not many.
Yeah.
Hey, are you still safe out there? Are things relatively calm? Are they, getting better?
Yeah. We're about to get a shit ton of rain Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Good news, bad news. Good news is obviously when in a drought, rain is always welcomed. However, dear Mother Nature, perhaps you could have brought the rain before the fires,
Yeah.
not after, because what we don't want is mudslides.
Yeah.
Because for those of you that don't realize, those that lost their houses means that there's a whole bunch of earth that's been scorched that will get washed down to people's whose houses were not damaged. And then that will wipe out some of those houses. So we're all hopeful that it's just a slow, steady rain and not a deluge. But they did use the term atmospheric river to describe it. So
Right. We should blame it on the rain then. Somebody just said in the comments. Hi, Judy. How are you today? Judy, are you there?
Oh, I must have hit it by accident. I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you for being here.
got me?
I got you. Appreciate you
Okay.
very much.
Whee!
You did it for her. Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome.
Still
Team
tracking
player.
the stock market. Has not much of a change. Still in the down 300 range. NASDAQ, the S&P, they're all down. I think everybody's expecting that to happen today, which is reasonable. Yeah.
Oh, here's a breaking story.
Okay.
Trump tariffs reverberate in addition to Mexico reinforcing its northern border. The president says we will work to curb the flow of high-powered weapons into Mexico. So apparently, she's not playing around. And Scheinbaum says she told Trump that Mexico and the U.S. working together as trade partners is the best way for them to compete against China. So apparently, she has to explain to him what his job is.
Apparently. Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Everybody says you keep freezing, buddy, and cutting in and out, and I hear the same thing. So I'm not sure what's going on there, pal. But
would you like to drop me so I can say we?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. We.
Again, Greg is on it today. I like that one. Okay, so just a couple other things that I kind of wanted to touch on. We didn't talk enough about. I sort of glanced over it, and we talked about it early in the show, but the Pentagon removing credentialed journalists that have been part of the reporting mechanism to report out to the U.S. citizens because we have this little thing called freedom of the press to be replaced by far right-wing news agencies, NPR being replaced by Breitbart, NBC being replaced by the New York Times. I don't know. I'm dropping from time to time. What the hell's going on today? I don't know. Everybody, I don't know what's going on. Who knows? Who the fuck knows? Let's do this then. Please consider subscribing. We are streaming on YouTube. Please subscribe over there. All the socials that I'm a part of, with the exception of Blue Sky, will add that as well. The link to those are also in the new Facts Hub. Please go to the Facts Hub and subscribe. I don't ask a lot, guys, but we're going to move all of our subscribers over there. So if you guys are going to be, if you want to participate and you want to subscribe to the channel, the best way to do that is either through donations to the Cash Apps and Venmo, or going to the Facts Hub and subscribing there. You can go to the perk sections. There's going to be some subscriber exclusive content there. So I'll be posting videos that won't go on TikTok, that won't go on YouTube. They'll only go to the Facts Hub. So if you want to do that, there's this little series, this kind of podcast idea I've been thinking in my head. I've got to put it into kind of creation. I'm thinking about doing it over there as subscriber only and subscribers exclusive content. So please consider doing that. I appreciate you. I am on Substack under the same name. I'm not sure yet about Substack. I've got a little bit more research to do there, but we'll see. Oh, we've got another MBW. I love it. Hello.
Hello, my friend.
I'm
Well,
doing good.
Yeah, I thought I had strep, but I don't. So
Oh, that's good. My goodness.
yeah, it's been dealing with it all weekend. So they gave me a liquid steroid. So hopefully that.
Thank you, Ann, for your $5 on Cash App. I appreciate you very much.
So I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about the new DNC chair and vice chairs?
Who got the vice chair? I didn't see that.
David Hogg.
Okay, I was thinking. I'm very very happy about that. In fact, Obi and I were talking about that over the weekend. They elect another white status quo Democrat to lead the DNC, and I was holding out hope. I was holding out hope for David Hogg becoming the vice chair. I think that's great.
Yes.
I think that's fantastic. I'm not pleased with another middle of the road. Yeah, Ken Martin is good, but he's more the same, right? He's more the same. We need progressives, and I'm so grateful that David Hogg is now the vice chair of the DNC. I think that's great.
Yeah, but the other two that are vice chairs, because there's three, so it's David Hogg and then two others, very young, diverse,
Wonderful.
and I couldn't be happier with it. I mean, I love my Obamas, I love my Clintons. It's time for them to pass the torch.
Agreed. Yeah, we need to be moving. Yeah. We need to be moving towards people.
Universal health care, over educating. Just like how you say every day, I want universal health care, more funding for education, and everything like that. I was in a live over the weekend, and they were just going over school vouchers and how it's going to help, and I'm like, are you freaking delusional? I just
they are.
Hey, Victoria.
Hi. I was going to say, the vouchers just passed here in Tennessee, and they are delusional. I'm good. How are you?
I'm trying not to talk. I've been dealing with. I thought I had strep. I was telling Steve I thought I had strep, but it's just a very bad sore throat.
I'm glad you don't.
Those are the worst.
I'm glad you don't. It's good that we're talking about that. I'm so grateful that we have David Hogg. I like David. I think he's got a bright future. He's the ultimate voice for victim advocacy. He's a progressive. But thanks for jumping in today, WJ. I appreciate you very much.
Yep. No problem. Bye, Victoria.
Bye. Have a good day. Feel better.
So I texted you over the weekend. Hello, by the way. Happy Monday.
Hello.
About the bill in Tennessee, basically making it illegal for Republicans to vote against Trump immigration policies. So elected officials can now be criminally charged if they vote against Trump immigration policies. So what the fuck is in the water in Tennessee?
White supremacy.
Pretty much.
So the bill that Steve is talking about is House Bill 6001. It is here in Tennessee. It makes it a Class E felony to vote against Trump's immigration policies. Now, this went through the House Finance Committee here in Tennessee. You can actually go watch those videos. I shared several on my page, and I'm happy to share those again because I had a couple of friends actually get arrested and removed from the rotunda when it was happening. But essentially this idea is if you want to create a sanctuary city, so if Chattanooga, Nashville, Memphis, Knoxville decide that they would like to, create a sanctuary city, this allows the state government to charge those legislators with a Class E felony. It is not constitutional for all of you all. That is not constitutional. It is you just basically saying I don't believe in this. And I think Justin Jones even ripped up metaphorically of the Constitution because that's exactly what it is. And the idea is that this isn't constitutional, but that's not the goal. The goal is to overwhelm the court system. The goal is to overwhelm citizens and constituents so that we feel that we can't do anything and cannot stop this from happening. Now, Tennessee, Project 2025 is alive and well here in Tennessee. We have lots of policies in place. We have lots of things that are already rolling down the hill, if you will, and we're going to have to push it back. So how can you help if you're not in our state? Call your state legislators and tell them that you're what the fuck is in the water in Tennessee? Call your federal legislators. They have literally be this is unfucking constitutional. The only way that we're going to push back is if we push back together and we show them that we're not fucking afraid of them, because the goal is to neutralize them for 2 years at this point. Like, that's got to be our goal. It's to neutralize them for 2 years. If every single one of us stands up for something, we can neutralize them for 2 years, and we can get progressives elected into office in 2026, and we can move forward. But yeah, this bill is fucking insane. The House voucher bill passed, which is not fun. Yeah, Tennessee's a shit show, guys.
And I think what Victoria said is really, really important to point out. And we've talked about this before about how because the mainstream media won't cover this shit. So the mainstream media is probably not going to cover the fact that NOSHA, the new bill introduced by the House, literally wanting to do away with safe and safety protections for workers in the workplace. It makes no sense, right? And a bill like this, basically criminalizing denying your rights to your constitutional right of freedom of speech by expressing yourself and voting for whomever you want. It's a distraction. They know it's not going to pass. They know it will be challenged, but it's going to take somebody to challenge it, right? Because if somebody doesn't challenge the unconstitutionality of it, then it happens. And that's the point, right? So that's the distraction we talk about.
And something to highlight here in Tennessee, you all.
You got this? I'll be right back.
Yeah, I got it. So something to really highlight here. Before the 2024 election, Tennessee legislators took it upon themselves to send out paperwork basically accusing anyone who is a new citizen that someone in their household who is not a citizen was going to could not vote. And it was a fear tactic here in Tennessee. They sent out these letters to new citizens who'd gotten their citizenship in the last 1 to 2 years, and were trying to discourage immigrants from voting in the election in 2024. We had to fight that in court. Also, another thing in Williamson County, the Republican Party sent out a letter basically telling independent voters or anyone who voted across party lines that they could be held liable in court for doing that. Now, there is laws on the Tennessee legislature that you can be held criminally liable if you decide to vote across party lines here in Tennessee, but we don't utilize that. Most of us don't, because we don't declare our if you're a Democrat or Republican here, you can vote either way. But that is something that Williamson County did here. So Tennessee absolutely loves to create voter oppression and suppression here. There are several things on the Tennessee legislator docket that make it really hard if you lose your voting rights. So just continue to watch Tennessee, because we're going to be a nice little look into what it's going to look like across the entire country, because Governor Bill Lee is in Trump's pocket as well. That's something that we should note as well. I was just telling them about the things that happened prior to the election, Steve, that we've talked about in the past. Some of the things that they pulled would trying to make new citizens afraid to vote, basically telling anyone who voted across party lines that they could be held liable in court. It's a whole thing.
Well, I mean, I think, I don't know if you saw this, Tennessee has got some, bourbon producing and liquor producing companies. And now the Canadian government has said they're going to ban or not going to purchase liquor. British Columbia in particular came out with that and said, we're not going to purchase liquor from red states. So these are, byproducts of these kinds of things, right?
And that is, let's be very clear. So in Tennessee, I live in basically whiskey bourbon aisle. Like, Uncle Nearest is 45 minutes from my house. Jack Daniels is 15 to 20 minutes from my house. George Dickel is 45 minutes from my house. I mean, Pritchard's is 45 minutes from my house. I mean, this is like bourbon whiskey central. We're not like Kentucky in that way. Like, we're all in there. And the amount of exporting that these companies do, the amount of income that they bring into our local infrastructure, specifically Jack Daniels would be the best explanation, because it's not far from my home. Which, Steve, you should come and visit so we can go get whiskey together.
Okay,
but
I'm down.
Side note, just a palate cleanser. This is going to negatively affect our area, because I think one of the largest, I think it was the 5th largest was Spain. 10 years ago was one exported 5% of the 5% of their stuff was from Jack Daniels. So like that's huge. That's a huge amount of money to lose. And we're going to see that across the board. So, I mean, this is going to be not fun, not fun for a lot of people. Yeah,
So
you can
there's-
definitely boycott CMA.
There is some reporting that the Trump administration has decided to pause tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Well, I think it's because they were looking at the stock market. So this is just coming down. U.S. stocks rapidly made back grounds that they lost after the U.S. and Mexico said tariffs against the trading partners would be paused for a month. It doesn't reference Canada. So stocks initially dropped precipitously, down as much as 700 points. But they have just, the Trump administration, so interesting, Mexico and Canada has called the bluff, right? And the Trump administration has said that they will pause tariffs on Mexico. Haven't heard whether or not that's going to happen on Canada yet. So as it sits right now, the Dow is down 141 points. The S&P is down to a high of 665. The S&P is down 0.7%, and the NASDAQ is down about 1. So that is very interesting politically. That is interesting. So you use this threat, they say, of tariffs. They're imposed. The stock market reacts as expected. Big losses, especially in the tech sector and in other areas. Some pressure internally within the party to say this is going to damage the people that voted for you. Yeah, no fucking shit. So the big tough guy in the White House has said, okay, we're going to pause this.
Yeah.
Right?
Calling bluffs up in here.
Calling
For the
bluffs.
questions in the comments, yes, Lynchburg is still a dry county, but they've worked with the local and state government so that they can have provisions so that you can drink while you're at Jack Daniels. Highly recommend tasting all their stuff. There's a couple of other stuff. You can also go downtown and see their nice little CSA Pride store. And when I say CSA, I mean Confederate States of America store that is downtown and is still alive and well. Yeah. Whew. Sorry, I had to address that one because it is a dry county still. You can't buy.
I've always found that fascinating where Jack Daniels is made in the county is dry.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Tim Pool. He's one of those. Tim Pool, many people who don't know, he wears a Scully when he's on his podcast. He's one of the people that got a lot of money, millions of dollars from Russian TV, from RTN, and then basically tried to dance around it when he was called on it, basically claiming that he has no idea who his investors are on his show. And we're like, okay, whatever. So he goes out publicly on X this morning and says, after we destroy the Canadian economy, their will to resist will erode. We will then march in unopposed and deliver Canada to its rightful place as a territory of the U.S. with no political representation.
What?
Yeah.
So they want to
Canada.
treat it like Puerto Rico.
Hold on. We need to change the background because Greg is so awesome. We know he's not South African, but okay. Again, this is Tim Pool. After we destroy the Canadian economy, their will to resist will erode. We will then march in unopposed and deliver Canada to its rightful place as a territory of the U.S. with no political representation.
Guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but that's fascism. You know who else decided to take over other territories? Little mustache man.
That is crazy. Holy shit.
Color me unsurprised, but what the fuck?
For those of you who are here, our Canadian friends, I know Benny, you were here earlier, and our other Canadian friends. I realize, guys, the message is keep your stick on the ice, keep your glove up. But I wouldn't talk to even me. I wouldn't bother talking to any of us down here, because we've got people like Tim Pool, basically. Anyway, that's about all the attention we're going to give him.
Good Lord.
Why don't
I mean,
misunderstood. Why don't you request so we can have a conversation? You've got a lot to say down in the chat, and I would encourage you to request up. You know,
I muted someone on Saturday and they slid into my DMs angry because I hosted a live on Saturday evening.
I don't bite, I nibble. Victoria bites.
I'm do.
Just saying. So just if you want to come up, we can have that conversation.
I'm
I know
not
you have an
friendly
awful lot
or
to say.
kind. Yeah, I am a misbehaved woman.
Yes.
I
By the way,
literally-
that's what MBW stands for. I saw somebody asking that question before. You'll see a lot of our friends who've got MBW in front of their username. That stands for Misbehaving Women. By the way, the link to the Misbehaving Women podcast and YouTube channel is in the link tree that is in my bio. Please go follow it. Please go follow the TikTok handle. Please check out their YouTube. They do podcasts every Sunday, and we love them. So yes,
I do.
MBW.
They're amazing. Yeah. That makes me think of when I was a child. I actually literally had a shirt that said, well behaved women really make history. And as a child, I knew that that was something that resonated with me. Probably I was like 7 or 8 years old.
ABC News is reporting of a meeting that U.S. tariffs on Mexico paused for a month. Mexico president said, okay, U.S. tariffs imposed on Mexico. Hold on, the story is loading. Have been paused for a month. Mexican president, who's awesome, Claudia Sheinbaum, said this morning. Sheinbaum said Mexico has agreed to reinforce the Mexico-U.S. border with 10,000 National Guard troops immediately. The announcement came after Sheinbaum spoke with President Trump on Monday morning. Trump had told reporters he would speak on Monday with Sheinbaum and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau prior to imposing imports on tariffs. The U.S. president is expected to sign executive orders tomorrow morning, putting 25% tariffs. My computer is freaking out. Putting 25% tariffs on both nations. So again, Mexico has the tariff between Mexico and the U.S. is on pause. And the stock market has reacted in kind. The stocks had started to crash this morning, and it looks like the rebound is I think you can point to this directly. The measure of 25% tariffs has effects for both countries, but it has been very serious effects for the U.S. economy, said Sheinbaum, because it will raise the cost of all products that are exported from Mexico. Trudeau responded to the planned tariffs on Saturday evening, announcing his country will implement 25% tariffs on $155 billion of Canadian, $155 billion, or about 107 billion U.S. goods. The prime minister said he has not talked to Trump since his inauguration. Apparently, there's reporting that they're going to talk today. So we'll see. Calling the bluff.
Mm-hmm. I love
Super
a good.
really-
I love playing chicken.
Yeah, playing chicken with people's lives.
You know, fuck it. It's that Shrek vibe. Some of you may die, and that is a risk I'm willing to take.
It's true.
It's exactly what he's doing. Is he
It's
Lord
true.
Farquaad? Is that what this is? Is that what we're having happen right now? Where's
Well,
Shrek? Is Shrek coming to save us?
He sort of positions himself when he stands like that. These are the highlights. Mexico will immediately reinforce the northern border with 10,000 members of the National Guard. U.S. is committed to working to prevent the traffic of high-powered weapons to Mexico. And our teams will begin working today on two fronts, security and trade. So let me get this straight. Victoria.
Mm.
The U.S. will prevent trafficking of high-powered weapons to Mexico, but we won't do it in our own country. Weird. Our teams will begin working today on two fronts, security and trade. They are pausing. So the Mexican president called Trump's bluff, saying, you got to stop sending weapons down here. And she agreed in kind to send security measures to the U.S. border. And that apparently was enough for Trump to say, we'll stop sending you weapons that are killing American school children. We won't do anything about it here, but we'll do something about it there. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
The math ain't mathin'.
It ain't mathin' at all. Wow, that is crazy. Everybody, please keep tapping. Again, please consider subscribing, FactsStillMatter.site. Go to the perks section, subscribe. We're moving all of our subscribers over there. I'd appreciate you guys. Henry, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing fine. How y'all doing today?
Okay. What's
All
on your mind?
right. Oh, well, just what you just read was, I'm glad it's going down because Mexico is saying, okay, you want to do this? Let's do it. And I really take my hat off to the young president down there because she's doing what she's supposed to do. Now, Canada needs to go ahead and say, okay, let's call your bluff. Let's do it. Because this is not going to just hurt their country. it's really going to tear our country completely up.
Yeah, and I think it already. It already has. We already know there's going to be economic impact on American citizens, whether it be through Canadian goods or Mexican goods. Threats of tariffs around the world. I mean, this is real. This isn't done. This is saber rattling. The Canadian president called his bluff.
Okay.
This was not. He's going to claim on social media that he got her to bend, and she's going to respond, and they'll go back and forth, and she'll own him because she's smarter than he is. It'll be great.
Because right now, he's not just messing with anything. He messing with my coffee. I like to wake up.
Exactly. 100%.
I like to wake up with a cup in the morning. It's good to the last drop. So I don't know if he drank coffee or not, but you messing with my coffee.
You're right,
Look,
Henry.
I said it when I worked at a large franchise store that sold coffee. You want to really fuck up someone's day? Fuck up their morning coffee.
Well,
Literally.
I worked in the coffee industry for almost a dozen years, and we would source our coffee from organic farms through fair trade agreements in Mexico, in Colombia. So coffee grows in the tropics. It grows between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. That's where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee is very sensitive to climate. Coffee, for the most part, grows on hillsides. That's where it grows. And I saw someone on Fox over the weekend saying, "Oh, we don't have to worry about Colombian coffee or anybody else. We'll just grow it here." No, you dumbasses. The only place we grow it here would be Puerto Rico and Hawaii. And guess what? It's some of the most expensive. Why? Because it's U.S. grown. So,
And let's be very clear here. If you like coffee, a lot of it is coming out of those Latin American countries. And it's not just, it's your coffee that you get at Burger King. It's your coffee that you get at McDonald's, because a lot of those are sourced by the same, like, if you want the same coffee that you get at Burger King that you also get at the Siren store, that's the same coffee. It's the exact same coffee.
Here in Mississippi, I sent my daughter to the store to get some coffee, which most of the time is $9 at Walmart. But it had went up to, I think it was $14 for a small container of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like to have Misunderstood come up, because if you can bully my mods from your safe space, then you can talk to me.
Yeah, come on up here.
Yeah, because they're off limits to you. They're so much better than you are. I'm not. They're so much better than I am. But you and I can have a conversation, Misunderstood, because if you can bully my mods from the chat, then obviously you're brave enough to have a one-on-one conversation with me, aren't you?
I think that we should say here too with coffee, for those of you who are having big feelings about the potential coffee thing, I literally have a cup that says a coffee a day keeps the bitch in me at bay. And that is true. So I'm already unhinged. Do I need help? No.
Because I've listened to both of y'all. I had listened to your live for a while, and I think both of y'all guys are really great.
Thank you, Henry.
Because I sit here and listen to this, and I say, okay, and I learn from it. I know some things, I learn some things, and that is the best thing that anybody in this country can do. The MAGA need to stop talking and open their ears and their eyes and see what's going on, and they listen to what the people got to say, because we're not dogging the man out. The man is not a president. He never was. He was an acting president. He was acting like he's the president. Now you got this other dude up here that thinks he's the president, which I think he's just like the one that calls himself a president, because he called himself a co-president, which I've been in this thing for six years, and I never seen a co-president. I seen a vice president, but I ain't never seen a co-president.
Henry, my friend, thank you for jumping in today.
Okay,
we appreciate
thank
your
you.
support, buddy.
And hey, guys, you have a good day, and we're going to keep our head up. We're going to stay woke.
Damn right we are. Thank you, Henry. You have a good day.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Have a good day, Henry. I love the people in the chat who are like, basically like, oh, I knew not to talk to my dad before he was on his second cup of coffee. Yes, I'm a morning person. I'm like a good morning person. But if I don't have some caffeine, I'm a little bit more unhinged.
Yeah, it's I'd cut you if I didn't have my coffee. It's like when I go I camp a lot. Like if I go camping, the first thing that I make sure I have is coffee. First of all, it's like one of my favorite things ever to wake up in the morning and have coffee by a campfire. There's like nothing better than that.
I've never been camping.
Well, there's a few things better than that, but I'm just saying that's a really good thing to have in the morning.
I can think of things.
You know, I have the themes. I have the soundtrack of The Office playing in my head. I'm having my cup of coffee. What else am I doing? I'm just saying, things like that.
You know, Mr. Victoria did put that on the other day.
Hey now.
He was like, it's your call.
That a boy.
Never going to live that shit down.
Good morning, Tony. How are you? Tony, are you there?
Oh, I'm good, Steve. Just waiting for the next goalpost move by MAGA.
Right?
Because
we should play
suddenly it's no longer about the economy.
No, of course not. No longer about no new wars. No longer about that.
No.
Yeah,
no longer about safety either, which was their... We'll figure it out one day. They'll figure it out one day. We already know what it's about.
Oh, we do.
We already know what it's about. We saw it.
We do.
But they just don't want to accept it. The fact that they're willing to fall on the sword of Elon Musk didn't do the salute is a very clear sign of where they stand.
Yeah, I had a conversation with someone on Friday, and it was embarrassing. He embarrassed himself by literally laughing about that when I challenged him on it. But that's who they are, right? We know the prompt today is about who's in charge, and it's people like Elon Musk going public with the Roman salute. Sure, no problem. By the way, we have a new theme in our community. It's okay to punch Yahtzee in the dick if you want to cross
all day, every day.
Feel free. You have
all
my
day, every
blessing.
day.
Yep, all day, every day.
I got post removed from Facebook because of some of the punching I was doing over the weekend.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. I have no regrets.
Yeah, I mean, in the face is fine. In the face is fine, but in the dick, because men in particular are so soft and weak, they would crumble. So do it there, or a knee.
I'm going for maximum effort.
But these are MAGA men. There's not much to aim for. That's a small target, Steve.
It's a good point. You know, that's a good point. I don't advocate violence unless it's punching Yahtzees. Feel free.
Of course. So as long as when you see a Yahtzee and you can call it a Yahtzee, you have no problem with me. But
exactly.
Seems like a lot of MAGA seems to have missed a good portion of their world history classes.
Mother Hen's being strategic. She's like eyes, throat, groin. Yeah, sure, that works.
Do it.
That totally works. Again, we're not advocating for violence unless it's a Yahtzee.
I am.
But feel free.
Oh, no, of course not.
We know you are.
Of course not.
I am. Look, I had generational trauma from World War II. I was raised on the thing that Yahtzees only understand one thing, and that's a 2x4 to their head.
So somebody asked a good question. Tony, thanks for jumping in today, bud. I appreciate you. Talk to you later.
No problem. Have a good day, Steve.
You too. Somebody asked this question in the chat about DOGE. How is DOGE an official government agency with access to everything? Well, DOGE isn't an official government agency. That's the entire point. So government agencies are subjected to congressional oversight. So this agency was set up by design to not be subjected to congressional oversight so that, for example, Elon and his cronies can get access to the Department of Treasury for whatever reason. Gee, I wonder why they'd want to do that. It's so that Congress cannot step in and oversee it because they are not a government agency, which to me is the ultimate in hypocrisy, right? And I'm going to read you something because I think it's appropriate. This is what the DOGE crew wants you to think. So this is what they put out. Let's see if I can find it. They put out this messaging on X. I think it was on X of their accomplishments. This is hilarious. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. I'll find it. Please keep tapping and sharing. Please support the channel by subscribing to FactsStillMatter.site. Would really appreciate that. Where is it? Okay, here we go. This came out. This is from DOGE on Instagram, and this is what they had to say about their successes so far. This will tell you how deep down into the cult these people are and how much they're mocking you. If it will just load. I need some help with my computer. Oh, here it is. All right. Maybe not. I'll come back to it. They're basically all the things that we've been talking about as far as the damage that they're doing to our society, they're bragging about, which should tell you a lot about how they don't give a flying fuck about corporate the American citizens. These are some of the things they're saying. All right. Trump's 24-hour deep state bloodbath. This is put out by Doge News. Okay. All federal prosecutors handling January 6 cases fired, computers locked, and marched out of their offices by security. Like they think that's a good thing. David Sundberg, the FBI assistant director at the helm of the January 6 investigation, has been fired. 20 leaders of the FBI field offices have been escorted out of FBI buildings around the country. 51 intelligence officers who spread misinformation about Hunter Biden's laptop and interfered in elections are now banned from entering federal properties. Federal employees are now required to return to the office with non-compliance leading to termination. Wow. John Bolton and John Brennan have been permanently banned from government buildings. Gerald Harold Rogers has been indicted for compromising U.S. trade secrets to China. Ban on all use of pronouns in government communications. All 2 million feds sent a resignation offer. This purge marks the beginning of the end for the corporate tyrants in Washington. 11 days in, here's the best part. 11 days in, and the swamp has been drained.
Has it, though?
That's from Doge. I don't recommend you guys getting your news from Doge.
I'm curious. So if we're getting rid of pronouns, so like
Right.
I can just go neutral, right? Like I can say they, them for men just across the board?
Sure.
Is that
Well,
because I know that
according
people get really angry when I don't in my emails sometimes where I like just use neutral pronouns and they're like, I'm a he. Bro, calm down.
Well, according to MAGA politics, we're all women
I mean, that's fair. Look,
because we're all born biologically as female. So
I mean,
there should be no
Shania
confusion.
Twain prepared you all for this,
Totally.
right?
Exactly right. Exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, hey Keith, how are you today?
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
It's just amazing that people don't see what's going on and what have went on.
Conceived, yes, not born, conceived, obviously. Yep.
What Trump have done, he have used racism as a tool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed.
100%.
Racism, bigotry. Yep. Anti-LGBTQ. Yep.
He used that for a tool to gather a base. And Trump is really being used because everything is controlled by the Heritage Foundation.
Yep, it is.
I live in the Deep South, so I know about all that.
Yeah, it's been this has been the blueprint of the right for decades, and they finally found their simp narcissist in Donald Trump that they could take advantage of.
Well, yeah, White Fragility actually talks about the book. White Fragility talks about this, and I want to say a couple others. So this is a good reminder that if you're looking for books to read about racism and how it plays out, we've got White Rage. We've got So You Want to Talk About Race. I've got actually The New Jim Crow and 3 others that are in my house right now. But this is a really good moment to remind you it's Black History Month, and this would be a good time to start your anti-racist journey if you're not already on it, because Trump has utilized that. The Republican Party has actually utilized racism and systematic oppression to push their narrative and get to the power point that they are in.
And the bottom line is everything is based off, they have their blueprint. Project 2025 is their blueprint. And what are they doing now? They going in, they trying to take control of the government. And it's not about it's to me, I don't know about anybody else, it's not about racism, it's about classes now. It's going to be the billionaires and the poor.
Everybody else.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, why would you go in
no
and
doubt about
give why would you go in and give billionaires a tax cut, but you saying you're going to fix the prices of eggs and gas and bring the economy down, and you're doing exactly the opposite thing you said, what you normally do when you speak?
I think it's about race too, though, Keith. I still think it's about that. When you see legislation about removing the ability to recognize observance months like Martin Luther King.
They want to take us. They want to take us back to 1950. They want to. That's when they consider the best. Sorry.
Right.
You're exactly right. But that racism was a tool that they used to gather the confidence of people. And yes, it was racist. It's all about, really, if you read Project 2025, it's all about preserving the white race.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
That's what it's all about. The bottom line, that's the total deal for Project 2025.
I completely agree, Keith. Thanks for jumping in this morning and talking to us, friend. I appreciate you very much.
Hey, thank you very much.
You got it. We had a conversation with one of our guests this morning who I was saying, well, do you still really believe that Trump's not connected to Project 2025? He's like, no, I guess he kind of was. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we've been telling you this forever, and you guys were just in denial. And every executive order, you can literally go line by line, everything connected to DEI, disavowing anything related to woke, wanting to suspend funding for any schools that there's an executive order now about CRT, wanting to deny funding to public schools who promote CRT, which doesn't happen to public schools. It's just more dog whistling. Again, that the oligarch class, white T men in particular, corporate oligarchs, can just get richer and richer and richer. It's all part of the distraction. We're going to do our best, in this space for however long is necessary to try to help you guys navigate through the gaslight. That's really, really important, because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be said with an intention to distract you from something else. So our team is kind of working on these connections. Like when they say this is what they're doing to cover it. Like the case with the Pentagon, for example. And there's this terminology about they call Friday Trash Day when it comes to taking out the trash Fridays. And so if you look for things like the last 2 weekends, right? The Friday, not this past Friday, but the Friday before, that was the night that they fired 13 inspectors generals. All right. This past Friday was the night that they announced the Pentagon's going to be kicking out legitimate news agencies by replacing them with Breitbart and OAN. We'll look for more. So these are the kinds of things that we'll be paying attention to, because mainstream media does a shitty fucking job covering it.
I mean, and they're going to be doing it. It's going to be, guys, I think it's going to be more like Hunger Games adjacent, because we witnessed fascism in Hunger Games. It is actually a really great depiction of it, with a power at the top and the capital being the most rich. And those are all billionaires. And they specifically make it so if you're in that capital ring, and then there are a couple of districts that get a little bit better treatment because they help supply. And then all the other districts you see it play out. So I would say it's going to look more like that. And it's going to be like the scene in Catching Fire where they're talking about how they're going to get everyone just hate Katniss and, Peter Millark. And they legitimately, it's like, we're going to do this, and then this. And that scene is what they're doing to us right now. They're trying to get us to stop. They're trying to stop us from wanting to interact, push back, whatever. And the whole thing is we need to make sure that we're standing together. We need to push back together, because if we can just neutralize them for 2 years, we'll have a chance to walk a lot of this back. But they're counting on you not wanting to do those things. They're counting on you to step back and choose your family and choose the selfish option. Not because it's selfish and by nature, it's because they want you to be so afraid that you're paralyzed.
There's a pivotal race coming up in Florida. I think the candidate's name is Josh Weil. It's Weil. It is the district that Matt Gaetz, I believe, used to run in. Somebody can check me on that. But I saw him on Instagram yesterday, and I reached out, and I'm hoping I can get an interview, because that, again, those special elections, because of the resignations in Congress or whatever it might be, are pivotal. Don't forget, full House, they have a 2-seat majority. That's it. That's it. So you can get one seat back, and then they are paralyzed. They cannot pass their agenda. And then marching towards 2026. Just real quick, I want to thank new subscribers today: Christina, Miss Cam, HJR, Laverne, Just Nikki, and Tona. Thank you guys for joining our team. And again, head on over to FactsStillMatter.site. You can subscribe there. Mother Hen, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning, Mother Hen.
Can I just say, I am not fucking Zen.
Damn right you're not. No, wait, let me ask you. Mother Hen, you should be more Zen.
I am not fucking Zen.
No, it's I am fucking Zen,
I
right?
am not fucking Zen. Fuck that. I am going to be very un-Mother Hen-like today.
Okay, I'm with you.
Brace yourself, Debbie.
I'm with you. Go for it. What's on your mind today, friend?
I am tired of these politicians sitting on their hands and allowing an unelected immigrant that is here illegally to take over our freaking government. And all of these lazy, entitled, far leftists who keyboard warrior their goddamn dumb ideas that never would have won a shit in the first place. I volunteered and signed my name on a contract to wear one type of uniform, and it sure in the fuck wasn't the one in the Handmaid's Tale.
No.
Agreed.
So instead of everybody sitting on their fucking hands, our leadership, that includes Republicans, because no matter what they do, if Musk and the Muskrats don't like you, you're not going to be reelected. You need to get these checks and balances back into our government. We, as the citizens of this country, need to fight for it. The 5th is going to be in every state capital in the country. I'm going. I never leave my house. My PTSD very rarely allows me to leave my house. I don't care how much medication I got to take. I'm going. It's going to be 37 fucking degrees in Indianapolis. I'm going. If I can go, you can go. So get up off your ass, stop sitting on your hands, and use them for something useful. And yes, eyes, throat, groin. It's a self-defense mechanism. Make sure you're writing your free legal services in Sharpie on your arms. Make sure you have bottled water. Make sure you are letting people know where you are. Turn off your GPS on your phone. But do something, goddammit.
I've heard people getting tattoos with contact information. I wanted to share this story about how a new update for the iPhone includes access to Starlink. So do with that information as you see fit. The one that I didn't get a chance to touch on earlier, the Treasury Department gave Musk's team, the DOGE team, again, the unregulated government, non-government agency, access to federal payment systems. The Treasury Department has given Elon and representatives of his department access to the vast federal payment system responsible for handling trillions of dollars in government expenditures. Multiple sources with the matter told ABC. The payment system, which is essentially a checkbook for the entire federal government, is a closely held operation run by career officials with a limited number of people authorized to access the information, given it contains sensitive information about hundreds of millions of Americans. The demand for access to the payment system reportedly caused such a rift inside the Treasury Department that the career official who previously oversaw it, David Lebrick, was placed on administrative leave last week after he resisted granting Musk and his government efficiency team access to the database. If Musk or his team were to attempt to block these payments, it would likely face legal challenges given the money is approved by Congress. So your payments. So when you're when you're renewing your subscription to OF, they could be coming for you. This is fascism. This is even deeper than that. This is even deeper than that. This is just the billionaire oligarch class saying we are going to enrich ourselves on the back of the American citizens. And Carolyn, you just asked me why isn't the Supreme Court stepping in? Because the Supreme Court is compromised. Carolyn, that's why they are compromised. And don't forget, there will be 2 new Supreme Court justices appointed in the first 2 years of the Trump administration, because Alito and Thomas will both resign, and they'll be appointed by people who are far more extreme than those 2 are. They'll be younger. The Supreme Court will be conservative majority for decades to come because of entitled fucking leftists who decided to sit the last election out. Guess what? You know what? You can use the eyes, throat, groin approach to them as well.
Hashtag ETG. Listen.
Exactly.
Make them sing.
Nobody is coming to save us. Our elected officials are officially inept, incompetent, and completely not on our side. We've known that for a while at this point. There may be a few, the AOCs and Jasmine Crockett's of the world. But we have got to have a show of force.
The Victoria Brodericks of the world.
Yes. Well, we got to get her in first, damn it.
Yeah, we got to get me in. Bernie Sanders did post a video on TikTok this morning, or sometime in the last 24 hours. I did repost it. Definitely worth it. Bernie Sanders, we all love him. We got to save Bernie and protect him at all costs. Steve, I know you feel that in your soul. For people asking where the Democratic Party is, well, a lot of the Democratic Party is in reorganization right now. I've actually had to explain to a couple of people that I'm in the middle of organizing for my county party. I am also a state executive committee member here in Tennessee. So you're going to see a lot of that right now. If your Democratic leaders aren't speaking out, there could be a couple of reasons for that, but let's try to go on the approach of they're trying to protect their seats because they can't affect change if they're not there. But that doesn't mean that we can't speak out and help them. People like myself, Steve, need you at our backs helping push back as well. We need you to speak out. We need you to make sure that you're staying engaged and staying involved. Just pick one thing. I just need you to pick one thing that pisses you off and do that thing. And we're going to be hosting more educational type things of how to get involved, how to protect your mental health, how to speak to your legislators, a plethora of things. Steve and I have worked on this. Dr. Ben Dowdero is working on this as well. There is a whole group of us that are, but the key to that is we need you engaged. We need you to be at our sides while we do that, because we're going to catch some flack for this, and that's fine. Steve and I are on the same page with this. It's we made our bed. We know. So please, please, please get involved. There's 800 of you in here. Pick something today that pisses you off and push back.
I want to send a big thank you out to David, to Andrea, to Nicole, and to Linda, who purchased the Fuck Trump Morse Code t-shirt. For those of you who don't know what that looks like, this is what it looks like. You can get them in the merch store. If you again, I won't tell the secret, but if you know Morse Code, it says Fuck Trump, so you can wear that anywhere. And so thank you again to David, to Andrea, to Nicole, and to Linda for making those purchases today. We appreciate you guys.
You guys can contribute to my cause any day. I have a P.O. box if anybody wants to buy this for me. Love that for me. Or you can donate to my campaign today.
Yeah.
Because it is open.
Speaking of campaigns, Victoria, you have definitely been a big inspiration. I personally would not be suited to run because, throat punching is not a good policy. But, however, therefore, I have convinced my wife to run. She will be running for city council here in
that's great. See,
county Democratic Party.
Aggie, I saw your question. Where can you buy those shirts? You can go to FactsStillMatter.site and go to the merch store. It's all part of the same location. And if you subscribe to the channel, you get 10% off your merch purchases. So please consider doing that. I appreciate you guys very, very, very much.
No. I'm so excited. Tell your wife that if she needs any help, just to reach out to me.
She's on.
I will do my best.
She's on this app under Humanity First. I will make sure that she gets hooked up with you. I am ready to do my wee, Steve.
Okay, hang on 1 second. All right, stand by. Okay, go for it.
3, 2, wee.
Love that. Yeah, I've got so many messages in my DMs right now. I'm literally working through. If you have messaged me and I have not messaged you back about campaign stuff, I'm trying so hard, guys. There are a lot of those. We discussed it on the live that I hosted the other night. I was like, I might just host a Zoom call to field these questions at a low cost or something, like $20 or something, and then I can just give you the documentation and we can just have an hour of talking about it. Because I realize on the lives, it's really easy to get distracted and get into the nitty gritty of things. So yeah, definitely looking at doing something like that.
Well, I need to wrap, friends. Again, capitalism calls. I do have I run my own business. So I do this every day because it's really, really important. But I do have to attend to cater to my customers every now and then because I've got 2 kids in college and 1 more on the way. Anywho, so Victoria, since you're here, what was your last message to our crowd and our audience be today?
Stay petty. Stay petty. Today is the day. Pick something to be petty about and fucking do the thing. I have to also go work my liberal job, which I've been doing this morning. But yeah, guys, make sure you stay involved. Make sure you are asking questions if you can, if you have information. If you guys can give me to 10,000 followers, I can start making playlists so that you guys can just have an easy access to all this information. But yeah, stay involved. Ask questions, keep pushing back. And as always, stay hydrated. Vote blue.
Thank you again to another Linda for purchasing, again, the Fuck Trump in Morse Code t-shirt. There's more to come. Thank you all for being here. We are going to raid our friend Matt. Is Matt live? Is he back?
Is he already? Let me see if he's back yet. I know he wasn't feeling good over the weekend, but I haven't checked to see. Yes, they are live. They are officially live. So I will be headed that way. So just follow me.
Misunderstood. If you still want to come up, I'll be happy to have a conversation with you if you're still in the chat.
Or if you want to come to Matt's live, I will make sure that you get brought up there. And
I'm
happy
to extend a few more minutes, Misunderstood, if you'd like to request again. So I'll give you that moment. I'm happy to do that. I will I'll pause capitalism for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to come up and have that conversation, Misunderstood. Because if you're not misunderstood, then I don't. Okay, I'm gonna bring you up.
Ooh. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
Perfect. This is my first time being live.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Might I ask you who you voted for?
Yes, I definitely voted for Kamala.
Okay. So it seems like there might have been some confusions about some things. Like why were you being kind of dismissive of my mods?
I don't think I was being dismissive. I had put in the chat that I believe that the election was rigged, and I believe that there is evidence to support this. And when I had posted that, one of the mods had asked basically if that was legitimate, and not to really say anything unless things are legitimate. So then I said okay and looked up, and the comment was removed, to which I said back in response, and then multiple mods said that it wasn't removed. And that was pretty much it.
Okay, but we don't generally talk in terms of conspiracy. Now I know that there's been a lot of voter suppression. We understand that.
Right.
That is something that we have to push back against. But to say it was rigged is a big claim, and that would require confirmation.
Right, correct. Yeah, I don't think the words I used specifically were rigged, but yeah, the 4 million votes that they've counted, I guess, that weren't counted originally in the actual election itself is what I was referring to.
Right.
And I do think we need to be discussing that, talking about it, at least trying to engage with it so that investigation, can proceed as it should. I mean, I believe it should proceed.
Well, here's another
They should be doing what they can.
Right. Here's another example Misunderstood about why it's important to elect down ballot progressives who are willing to address the challenge that we face is that there are so many Republican supermajorities in a lot of states where a lot of this voter suppression happened. And when there is legislation that is then signed into law by these supermajorities that make voter suppression legal, that's a problem. When you have gerrymandered districts by design to suppress the vote, that is illegal unless somebody challenges it.
Yeah.
I think there are two different things to say the election was rigged. I think a safer argument is to say that there was significant examples of voter suppression. And
you see this in Tennessee. Tennessee is a great example of voter suppression. Tennessee has lots of laws on the book and legislation on the books that prevents voters who should have access to voting to be able to actually vote. And so I think that Steve is on the right track here. And also people just didn't vote. That is something. Tennessee is we're 51st in the nation for voter turnout. Only I think only 10% of our voters actually vote. So I think that this election, it feels easy. I think it's easy to say things like, those votes were not counted, that kind of thing. But I think when we get into the nitty gritty, we ran a woman at the top of the ticket, and when we look at it down, it's a Black woman, and that's why people didn't show up.
Who should have won, might I add? Sorry,
she should have won. No,
interrupt you.
She should have won. She should have won.
Absolutely.
You made the claim that she did win.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
You made the claim in the chat that she did win.
I don't know. I don't remember, to be honest, if I said or didn't say that specifically, but I do believe that, again, similar to the statement that I made, that there was a lot of voter suppression, ballots, gerrymandering, things of that nature that, again, there's evidence for. I do see your guys' point, though. So, again, not trying to divert from that. But so, in my mind, I do think that if those votes would have been counted, they were more in favor for her as far as the information we know currently. And in that case, she would have won. But as far as in your chat, I don't know if I specifically said she won. I don't think she actually won. Obviously, I'm, of sound mind that I know who the president is currently.
No.
I understand. Just again, I just want to. This is for everyone. We have to be careful because words matter, right? Yeah. We have to address the issue specifically that voter turnout wasn't what we expected, and there was a lot of voter suppression. So those two things, and Victoria hit the nail on the head. What's the commonality between Donald Trump's 3 runs for the presidency? He was beaten by a white man, and he lost to 2 women. That is the reality of our country, right? Sadly, our country is still misogynistic, racist, and bigoted. The most qualified candidate to ever run for office was Kamala Harris, and she lost because people on the left felt like they couldn't see a woman in charge, and because of the entitled protest vote. But yes, voter suppression is real. Gerrymandering is real. Let's just be careful going down the conspiracy rabbit hole, okay?
Got it. And thanks for letting me up on your live. I appreciate the time. Did not mean to stop your capitalism.
That's all right. It's worth it for that conversation. And then I protect my mods like they're my own children. So when those things happen, I get a little feisty, okay?
I got you. Hey, just real quick, though, there was the one AG, I don't know the full name of him, but at the point where I was engaging positively with the chat, that was the issue kind of that I was continuing to have. I did message you about that if you want to take a look at it. The other mods, totally understandable. It was a misunderstanding, but there was one specifically, AG, I don't know their full name, muted me 3 times, even when I was laughing with the chat, agreeing with you or your panelists, what have you. So I would just ask if you could take a look into that, but I do totally understand what you're saying. And I will be more mindful of my wording and verbiage moving on.
I'll defer to my mods for the reason, but thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you. Okay, enough of that. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate you guys very, very much. We're going to still rate our friend Matt. Did we determine that he is live?
He is live. So I'm going to head over there now, but come and join me, guys. Love you, Steve. Take
Everybody
care.
Go
Enjoy
say
capitalizing.
Everybody go say hi to McAngry. He's been going through some medical shit. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you here tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Everybody get involved. Find something to do. Find some cause to stand for. It is Black History Month. Show love to our BIPOC brothers and sisters.
Referring to God-like. But they'll teach you that. They'll tell you that, right? Men are gods, that this God saw a certain group of men as gods. And if you don't speak the language, or if you don't know how to read the original text, then you just believing and trusting what another human said to you.
I guess in that case, godlike beings.
That this scripture, like this chapter, is about Yahweh taking his place at the divine council amongst other gods. But because religion or Christianity right, or men, human beings, needed to basically become the delegated authority for the God on earth, right? They needed people to believe that they had this authority to be God on earth. Does that make sense? In fact, the word for husband is Baal. It's Lord. Also Adon, right? They put themselves in the place of being a lord, a landlord, right? And so men have put themselves in the place of this God, even to the point where when they translate the text, they know you don't know Hebrew. They know for a while people didn't have access to the text to where they could read it for themselves, even those that did know Hebrew. They had to just trust what the human was saying, the text said. So for a while, they just taught them whatever the fuck they wanted to teach them. And still to this day, they're still doing that, right? But like if you don't know Hebrew, you don't know that this right here, from here to here, hold on, from here to here, it does not say this.
It in that case, like, it's just bringing this confusion, I guess. Because like you said, if one doesn't know Hebrew, versus what the translation is in English, then I guess in that case, like, there's just no link, like, whatsoever. So how is it that the Hebrew version is saying one thing, but then the English translation is saying another?
Because
like, if it's not,
they translated the way, like, based off of their doctrine and their theology, right? And it depends. Like, that's why there's so many different translations, right? Whatever their agenda is, or whatever doctrine they're teaching or theology they want to spread, that's how they translate the text.
I see. I see. Yeah, I think then in that case, it just comes down to how, like, the Bible itself, I feel, is just not very clear. It's just not very clear in that case, I guess. So the Bible itself is just not it's just not a book that is very accurate. Therefore, we as people just can't follow, I guess.
Well, it has many authors, right? Think about how many people believe in a God today. If everybody today wrote their own story, their own history in this generation, and they wrote from their inspiration from what they call the God, Jesus, or the Holy Ghost. Like, do you think that it would be univocal? Do you think it would be one voice?
No.
And so, neither was it back then. Like, they were writing from, their own perspective of what they considered to be God, and what they believed that a God was saying to them about their culture and their society at that time.
So because they were following, let's say, a certain group of people and lifestyle, but would you say that this is why they wrote the Bible as it is, like, when you read it?
Well, it wasn't written as a book, so you got to keep that in mind first, right? It was different scrolls for different cities, right? We got to think about when they were writing, they were not big cities like we have today. They were villages that were spread out, 20, 30, 100 miles from each other, very sparse in population. And then when society began to evolve and move into more technology centers, like urban centers, government, school systems, religious systems, right? Then the theology needed to change. So as society changed and population grew, so did the theology. And so they were writing different things for different audiences. And then in the fourth century, Romans who had become Christian, who had become followers of this Jesus, decided to put it all together in one book. And it took them a couple of 100 years to even do that, to decide what would be scripture. It took them another maybe 200-300 years before they solidified a list of texts that would eventually become scripture. And then it wasn't until 1611 when King James authorized, the King James Bible. So you're talking from 4th century BC, from 4th century CE. I'm gonna say 325 when the Council of Nicaea. So from 325 CE all the way to 1611 is how long it took to get one specific collection of texts that was authorized to say, okay, this is the final. That's a pretty long time. And it's not that they were still writing at that time. There were multiple texts out there, and they were, dwindling down to decide what would be considered